Do you want to take a life? Do you want to cross that line? Because it's a long way back from hell.
Nerdrotic.com. Nerdrotic.com.
I need to lengthen that. You know what I'm saying? Make it longer. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Nerdrotic Dinner. My name is Gary Beekler. I come to you from Nerdrotic.com. And I have a very special guest every Wednesday. Mr. Chris Gore from Film Threat joins us. Welcome, Chris. How are you?
Doing great, Gary. Thanks for having me. This is going to be a big show.
Yeah.
This is going to be a big show. So much to talk about.
We've got a lot to talk about. The title doesn't even begin to cover it. We've got, of course, Disney. I mean, Disney calling everybody racist is nothing new. Thor's Humiliation. Quite frankly, it's been going on for a couple of years now. We also, Chris Gore has seen a couple of things that he can talk about. And I have a little more details about The Rings of Power, episode 1 and 2, that I'm going to share with you. Just some light stuff. Some really stupid stuff. It just, you know what? Spoilers. It sounds very much like something made from somebody who worked at Bad Reboot. That's what it sounds like. Wow. Okay, aside from woke stuff, one of the biggest problems with like Star Trek, for example, JJ's Star Trek and Alex Kurtzman, is their disregard for things like characterization, the passage of time, distance, physics in our world.
Yeah.
You can have a transporter case, and then never use it again, which would just be a little magic object that you want to use all the time. It would be just a get out of trouble MacGuffin. We got stuff like that happening in the Rings of Power. It's going to be bad, folks. It's going to be bad. Woo! But let's see who's here first, Chris. We always like to, on the Nooner, welcome our friends. Bastard is here with his wrench. You're not a bastard to us. Eric K. is here with his wrench. Is it just a joke? Yes, it is just a joke. Hello, how are you? Channel Surf, hello. Luke's right hand. Well, there used to be an account out there. I don't know what happened to him. It used to be Vader's Charred Phallus. That was one of my favorite names out there. Chris Mack, what's up? Now it's moving too fast. Hang on. Got to slow down for the old man. The Geek and One podcast, Kazaki Senju. Hello. Herf Durfman, Andrew Stewart, Eric Sullivan, The Last Man, 1984, Jens Anderson, and the Tuari. Oh, Tuari. I can say that. Chris Mack, Thor TD, Jeremy Bowers, Forever Sci-Fi, Aid Robertson, Coffee Sketchathon Studios. Hey, I just finished a big cup of coffee with 2 shots in it. Not of alcohol, of espresso. So I'm a little jacked. Jeremy Bowers, maybe I said that name already. Andrew Hoyle, Mila, Shuxy, Superman 82, and David B. 52 movies a year as well. Welcome, everybody, to the Nerdrotic Nooner. Hail. we're gonna get right to it. What do you want to talk about first? Let's talk about something. I was supposed to see it last night and I didn't because, well, I did a 5-hour live stream, and then we talked, and then we talked for like an hour and a half afterwards too, so like 6.5 hours out, and then I took a nap, and I'm like, fuck, I can't go. There's no way. I got work to do. And then my wife asked me not to go anyway because she wants to go with me.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to go see Top Gun Thursday. But you could tell me what you thought because you saw it. What'd you think, dude?
It's great. It's such a throwback. It's like this movie was made in a bubble outside of all the madness that is surrounding us in the current day, in the modernity that we're suffering through. So it's fun. It's inspired by things you love. Tom Cruise is just on point. At no point in the movie is he sidelined by some other character. He schools people. He's a badass. Tom Cruise is I was talking to a friend about this. I mean, he's one of the last movie stars out there. His social media presence is pretty lightweight. He doesn't really take any controversial stands. In fact, one of the stands he did take, I applauded wholeheartedly, which is about he was against the soap opera effect on televisions and made a video about that. I don't know if you remember that, Gary.
No.
So yeah, you got to see that video. It's him explaining how, when you go into like a Costco and they have a million TVs and you're watching that's Return of the Jedi and it looks like shit because it's got that soap opera effect going on.
Yep.
Like he did a whole video about stop having that being the default setting for televisions. That's not how you're supposed to watch movies. It makes, the 30 FPS looks terrible because it makes like movies we love look awful. So he did a video about that. So he takes the stands on things I care about.
Yeah.
So, but also the movie is it's like a throwback. It's also it's a popcorn movie. It's fun. I saw with a group of critics who rarely react and were loving it, screaming, clapping during certain parts. It's like a crowd pleaser, and it's a popcorn movie. And there's throwbacks to the original, but I will say this: you don't need to have seen the first Top Gun to enjoy this. You can just he's a legend that has some things that happened in the past he's not really proud of, and that's all you need to know, and that's fine. You can catch up and see the first Top Gun, but you don't have to see it to enjoy this. And it's just freaking awesome.
That's brilliant.
Not to mention just the scenes you got to see it somewhere IMAX and somewhere with great sound because you'll be blown away. But I don't want to go into it in any sort of spoiler sense. You're in for a really good time, and it's a kind of movie we wish Hollywood made today.
Yeah. And this thing's been delayed, and maybe it's coming out at the right time. This might be something that, especially around Memorial Day.
Yes.
I think, and it'll make everybody forget, or if they haven't already, about that Doctor Strange 2 movie. That was pretty awful. But it's okay. Yeah. We got another awful Marvel movie coming.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. So I wasn't going to make a trailer reaction. I was going to skip it. I don't know why. I was just I just did one. I don't usually do trailer things, especially 2 in a row. Mm-hmm. But I was talked into it on Twitter. By all the freaking lunatics on that platform. Oh man, they were threatening me. They were threatening Yellow Flash, and this is nothing new, folks. I'm not going to bring too much attention to it, and it's something that's been going on for 4 years on this channel now, 3.5, 4 years. So fine, I'll make a video and I'll dedicate it to them with kisses. I'm sure it'll make them very happy. But we'll talk about that. I'm very happy to hear there's a good movie coming out, though. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I'm really curious how the general public will respond. I mean, it's a movie that isn't overtly patriotic, but it's patriotic. This is an American movie, right? And just like the first film, the nemesis, the enemy is non-specific. They didn't tie it to a particular country, so to speak.
Kyrgyzstan? It's not a Kyrgyzstani jet?
Yeah, well, yeah, they all in a way that's sort of it's generic, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's just because for the world market they don't want to vilify any particular, group. This is where this is the target, this is what we got to take out, and that's it. The target. It's all about the mission and what the mission is. But what I'm really curious about is what the reaction to this will be. I think that there are certain critics that are going to find reasons not to like it, and I think that's going to say a lot about them. So, and I'm really curious to see how it does the second weekend. It's going to be, I mean, already like it's going to be number one this weekend, 3-day weekend. It's going to make a ton of money. How's it going to do on second weekend? Word of mouth. Who knows? We'll see. But I think it is it's one of those things like Hollywood needs to start making movies like this, but this was originally set to be released in summer 2020.
Yeah.
So it must have been shot in
Summer of Love. I was told that's the Summer of Love, by the way.
Exactly. I would probably not have gone over as well, but I feel like we need this movie now. We really need it.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. We're not going to spoil anything, but the chat was asking, are there any homoerotic volleyball scenes?
There is not volleyball, but there is another one. But the thing is this, only if you see it that way. There is a sort of almost a tribute to that scene where there's like a bunch of shirtless men being objectified. We were talking about that before we started.
I want shirtless women objectified. I want a lesbian erotic volleyball scene. Would that be? I'd be like, but not like San Francisco with hairy armpits.
There is a scene that's sort of a tribute to that, a nod to that, and I think it's fun. It's a really fun scene, and it's only homoerotic if that's the way you see it. I see it as a bunch of dudes like, look, I used to play basketball with my friends on weekends. We'd get together. Yep. First of all, to be clear, I am not good at basketball. Never was good at basketball. The only sport.
But did you ever play sports to Kenny Loggins music? Okay.
No, never done that. Only sport I would say that I enjoy is bowling because you can drink and bowl.
Yes.
But that's why I like bowling. It's fun.
Bowling's fun. We're going to bowl in Vegas, by the way. We're going to bowl in Vegas.
Yes. Okay, that'll be great. All right, that's happening. But it's only homoerotic if that's the way you look at it, right? Like it's just a bunch of dudes with their shirts off. Like, and look, when I play basketball, I took my shirt off. It gets hot. You take your shirt off, it feels better. Like you're just.
Then you started rubbing oil on all the other guys.
No, none of that. But it's like, well, it seems like there's a lot of
just that one guy, not everybody.
But it's fun. I mean, it does bother me these days that, a certain members of the audience have to look at every, same-sex relationship as potentially, homoerotic. And that says something about that person, not about the film. I love the chat's like, don't make this weird. I make everything weird. Okay. That's the whole point. Yeah. Trying to make it awkward and weird. No, I get it. I can't wait to see the movie. I really can't. Like if I see two good movies this year, I'll be shocked. So I walked out of Northman like really happy. If I walk out of this really happy, it's like, wow. And there's potentially a third one. I'm just going to put that out there. RRR, which is coming back to theaters June 1st, but it is also on Netflix.
Is it on Netflix?
RRR is on Netflix.
I'll have to use the password.
Yeah.
That's not mine.
Use the shared code. We all have our shared codes. But yeah, no, RRR is out there and it is so wacky. Like you have to see it.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, I know I've been screaming about it, but I just want other people to talk about it with so that we can discuss the merits.
I can't even talk. It's shellfish. Did I say shellfish? I hate shellfish.
You almost said shellfish.
I think I did.
That's all right.
It's all right. The words, it's been a while since I've done a nooner, so a little out of practice. I've been trying to get this office done, and it's now down to an area about this big. That's what she said. That I've got my Batmobiles unpacked. First time ever, by the way. I've got my Batmobiles. Yeah, you can see. That's the Snyderverse one.
Oh, sweet.
And I got the Michael Keaton Batman Returns one on the floor. You have to go to Twitter. I took a picture of it, put it on Twitter.
Nice.
I've got all my I unpacked the last hot toy last night, which was Gothmog. So there you go.
Nice.
Gothmog. Let's real quick. We got a donation. Circumventing Mama Susan. Thank you very much for $10. It's Job. Oh my God, how did I pronounce this? Jobinoli for $10. Thank you. Hello there, Chris and Gary. Gary, I made a parody video of Nerdrotic. You might get a kick out of it. Would be awesome if you'd let me know what you think. My channel is Job Noli. Hail. I'll check it out. We'll check it out before we leave the show. Okay. I'm doing this solo. This is like old fashioned style. No producers, no Quarterback Garrett. He called in sick. So yeah, this is gonna be boomerific, I'm sure. Thank you for the $10. And then we have a Human Kirk for $10 says, please don't read what? Please don't read out this message publicly. Okay, so I'm reading it though, publicly. So I'm gonna read the rest. Okay, thank you for the $10. I won't read the rest. Basically saying I'm awesome. No, I'm just kidding. No, I Human Kirk. Hope you feel better. And thank you for the $10. So interesting article. Okay, I got to go find it now. Let's see, there I boomered it. I closed my Discord page, which I should not have done. Because Garrett got me some articles. I want to open up with I know it makes everybody. We're going to get to the Disney calling you racist part. I know you're really excited about that. You're like, what did they call us this time? It's the same old shit. And this is how they lead with the Star Wars show, by the way. But I thought it'd be more interesting to lead with something else, like the Hollywood bubble bursting, because that's going to make a lot of people happy. And that might sound cruel to some people who haven't been paying attention for the last 4 years. But it's not. The reason it's going to probably make a lot of people happy is because Hollywood did this to themselves. Hollywood has spent the last 4 years dividing people. Not everybody, but the people in power and the people who might have been able to stop it didn't say anything. They're starting to say stuff now, a little late. So we're going to get right there. And yeah, it looks like Netflix's fall might be a harbinger for things to come. And again, I'm really not, I'm not super upset about this. Where did the article go? It was on Nooner or Research. I can't remember now. Stan Lee, Neon Genesis.
We don't need Quarterback Garrett. We're fine without him.
We're fine without him. Here it is. There it is right there. This comes from Variety. There we go. Yeah, it's just going to look like really thin right there because I'm on a different monitor. How the market crash is forcing Hollywood giants to reassess digital strategies. By the end of a brutal trading day on May 18th, Wall Street had delivered a wallop to Hollywood that will change the course of business as surely as the COVID pandemic accelerated the pace of transformation during the past 26 months. Last week's market crash that saw the Dow Jones Industrial Average plunge 1,164 points, or 3.57%. Thanks, Joe Biden. Was not just a one-day blowout, the culmination of a months-long correction for big media stocks. In other words, the bubble burst, ladies and gentlemen. Disney, Netflix, Warner Brothers, Discovery, and Comcast have seen tens of billions of dollars in the market capitalization wiped out over the first months of the year, and have tech titans like Amazon and Apple investors, as have tech titans like Amazon and Apple, investors have spoken. Yes, and this is the interesting part. Remember the spending spree that Hollywood has been on for the last few years? Do you know what that was based on, Chris?
I have no idea.
Do you think it was based on any actual liquidity, like money that these companies had? Now, Apple is the one exception. They have a lot of liquid assets. They have a lot of cash. But the other companies don't. Netflix doesn't. They put themselves in debt. They were spending it on it's credit, basically. They were using credit based on investors, based on speculation, to give, I forgot how much they gave Dan and Dave for that exclusive deal that they haven't done anything with. I want to say it's 20, 30 million, something like that, maybe more. Well, yeah, they didn't have the money. So this is great.
I mean, I understand why they were doing it. They're doing it to buy market share.
Yep.
Because whoever owns the streaming world owns the universe. That's a line from Dune.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I understand why they were doing it, but yeah, it's not unusual also so often now with big studios, because they don't have, they're not super liquid, is they get a lot of foreign money. So they get the foreign financing, they get the US rights to whatever it is. And then, the foreign rights in certain territories is, from the co-financier. And then, you get, the major studios is the conduit towards large scale distribution. So that's how that works.
Yeah. And it's not working anymore. Well, at least this way is not working anymore. It stopped working apparently on May 18th. That's how quick these things go.
Wow.
Wall Street is not rewarding subscriber growth anymore. Don't you hate it when they don't reward growth? Sad. Says Liska Schmitz, managing director and partner of consulting firm BCG. Investors are looking more at profitability. What? What? You don't say. There's a higher level of scrutiny on spending and proving the economics of streaming that could lead some players to become hesitant about spending as much as they have, she says. That's what she said. The crash marked the end of investors' irrational exuberance for the content business, with an exclamation point on the same day last week that the TV industry was pitching content strategies to advertisers at upfront presentations in New York, and the elite of the world's movie business were being wowed by Tom Cruise, Top Gun Maverick, at the Cannes Film Festival. Indeed, the streaming bubble that boosted shares of media and entertainment companies in 2019 and 2020 has all but burst. Falling stock prices are coinciding with rising interest rates, inflation, and heavier than usual debt loads at the larger conglomerates. The heightened pressure to deliver earnings and the need to pay more for the service debt will inevitably force a pullback or a pullout, at least in the short term, in the tidal wave of spending of content production, marketing, and distribution. So we have a chart. Enjoy the chart. Bye-bye, chart. That in turn will have a major ripple effect across Hollywood's creative community and the global content production ecosystem, which in recent years has been primed to operate in an environment of seemingly endless demand for new TV shows and movies. Morgan Stanley this month projected the rate of content spending by the 14 largest players in global media to expand at 13% compound annual growth rate. Blah, blah, blah. Boring money, but tally will top 200 billion. 200 billion doesn't sound like a pullout to me. But a steep and sustained economic downturn, of course, would put a damper on that. I think it already has, by the way. Hollywood's real dilemma is how to power through more years of transition and uncertainty as business models continue to evolve, observers predict. After more than a decade of disruption, Hollywood has hit the most precarious point of its digital revolution, wherein aging linear operations in TV and film are growing weaker faster than the new platforms can perform or become profitable. In other words, They need to make stuff you actually like and watch now. And I don't know how much longer like super expensive fantasy, sci-fi, and superhero shows are going to be just given green lights. I'm guessing not very many of them are. They're going to probably have to be pretty good. I'm guessing you're probably going to see a lot of.
I don't know, Gary. I think. Look, Doctor Strange, as much as like we see the flaws in it, and they're plentiful, and I think that the audience noticed it, which is why the second weekend drop off was so bad. It still made a lot of money, and I think that what they may look for is more sure things, more safe. If they're going to do superhero, do something that's more of a sure thing. I think a new Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire is pretty much a sure thing.
I would call it a sure thing. I
Really?
like that was a sure thing 3 years ago. That was a sure thing 5 years ago, and they haven't done it. Like,
yeah,
here, Metallica's Black Album was one of their best-selling albums. Biggest tour, biggest album of the year. Was it good? No, it's a piece of shit. It's fucking terrible. It's fucking terrible. And what happened after that? We got Load, they cut their hair, and Metallica stopped mattering. And now they just kind of live off their built-in fan base. Later on in this article, they say something just like that. Like, they're going to have to start making stuff specifically for the built-in fan base because you're not getting new fans. So what Doctor Strange 2 was essentially Metallica's Black Album. It lived off of the success of And Justice for All, which was pretty good. I like that album. But it lived off the success of No Way Home. That had a lot to do with its upfront money. Sure, there's people like Lofty out there who like it, and there's always going to be people out there like Lofty. You know, what are you going to do? I kind of miss his takes, by the way, on the Thor trailer. It's kind of sad to see him say 10 out of 10 for that. But what
did he really?
No, I'm just kidding. He probably did. He got banned off Twitter. So
what? How?
Too many bad takes, probably. That'll be my guess.
What could he possibly have said other than a bad movie take to get him off Twitter?
Oh, it wasn't a bad movie take. I think he called somebody a bag of sticks. Or did it through a clip. He didn't say it. He didn't write it. He put it in I think it was a anime clip and then translated it or something like that. But he didn't specifically say it. Oh, well. So I fully agree that Hollywood will continue to be stupid for, I think, a couple more years because they just don't figure shit out. They just don't. Like, they don't see right now what you see, Chris. Mm-hmm. They don't see the change happening. They still think that, we could, I just think they're probably going to be a little more discerning. I mean, the fact that Gotham Knights is still coming out after they just canceled Batwoman and Naomi just shows how dumb they are. Like, what makes you think that show is going to be different from the other two on CW? Well, because they're dumb. Because they really think it's going to be different. It's the same people who greenlight Strange New Worlds, which is like a candier coated turd. It's still a candy coated turd, but it's just a little sweeter, a little thicker layer of candy around that turd. I don't know if you've seen it. I hate it.
Have you seen Strange New Worlds?
I've seen the first 2 episodes. I
saw the first 3. I didn't dislike it as much as I never finished. I only saw the first 4 episodes of Discovery, and I didn't dislike it as much as that. I wish it just wasn't Star Trek. It's like, maybe I could be interested if this is, that's why I think the Orville is so popular, because it delves into things that, like, it's very much Star Trek: The Next Generation, and a good mix of stuff from the original series. And I love the Orville, right? But like, why does this have to, I just look at, like, that's Uhura would never do that. And I wonder if, like, my own, like, I'm coming in with, like, I love these legacy characters. Why do they even have to use them? Can they just create new characters? And the other thing this is a weird thing, and this sounds like something Ryan Cannell would say, but there's like there's way too many women on that show.
There always
on
is.
Strange New Worlds. And I mean it, like, it really stands out. I'm like looking at the bridge. I'm like, wait, are Spock and Pike the only guys on there?
Yes.
It just, I mean, like, I don't care that there are a lot of women, great, but could it be 50-50? And it's not 50-50, and that just feels weird.
No, Kurtzman, somebody asked him, I play this clip all the time, but it's been a couple of years, so I'll reset. He was on a podcast, and somebody said, so Star Trek is now a female-centric show, and he goes, yes. Like, why would you do that? Why would you make it male-centric? I mean, like, it's supposed to be like egalitarian. That's all we've ever asked. But they made a point. It took them 4 seasons, but they wanted to have on the Discovery, they wanted to have a bridge without a white straight male, and they did that, just like they did the TARDIS without a dude in it for the first time. You know, it was real quick, but and of course, when there wasn't a dude, there was scissoring going on, but that's a whole other thing. When it becomes obvious, you see the agenda. That's what I point out. That's what everybody points out. It's not the fact that nobody wants a sausage fest. No. For one, it's all superficial. I know Hollywood's superficial anyway, but like talented writers can make, that's what you buy into is the good writing, the characterization. That's why I bought into, Buffy and Angel and Star Trek originally and, Farscape and Babylon 5 now. It's like I care about the characters. Babylon 5 is filled with fucking plot holes and inconsistencies. I don't care because I like Sheridan. So I'm following Sheridan and I like Jakar. That's what makes you the thing with the Kurtzman Trek is, even with the quote unquote legacy characters, I don't like anybody. They're all a bunch of like incompetent dicks. And that includes the women. Like the women are the most incompetent. They try to there's supposed to be female empowerment and they just make the women look like complete dipshits all the time.
Well, then you're going to hate the 3rd episode, which focuses on Uhura and her ability to sing. It's the 3rd episode of Strange New Worlds that just came out, and
ripped off a DC Fontana novel already.
That's what I'm told.
Yeah,
Rob Burnett. I was talking about it with Rob Burnett.
I saw his live stream.
Yeah, it's weird. Like
I wish they wouldn't have ripped it off. By the way, I don't like what I heard about it. I fucking hate it. But go on. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's just like there should at least be some acknowledgement. I mean, I guess they own that material, right? Sure. Because of the license, I guess. But it just I agree. Again, like I said, if this was a different new crew and it was like maybe set far in the future, which would make more sense, far in the future of Starfleet, great. But it doesn't line up with the canon in my head
at all.
And it's like, then how do we get to Kirk? How do we get to Kirk and what the Enterprise is and Yeoman Rand?
It's not like they should just go. For one, they refused. It's a reboot, folks. It's a fucking reboot. Yeah. They just don't want it called a reboot. And yes, there must be some rights thing going on that we don't know about. Midnight's Edge has reported on this for years and years and years. People deny it, but then why not just call it a fucking reboot? Nobody's going to really care at this point. As a matter of fact, it would help you, Kurtzman. It would help you if you said none of this shit, like that other Star Trek universe is we're leaving it alone. You'd probably get more people watching. You'd probably get more Star Trek fans watching. That's all probably not. Cause dude, the dialogue still sucks. There's so much fucking horrific logic in that show. It
is the worst dialogue written. The way that these characters talk to each other are like insecure fucking millennials.
Yep.
It's annoying. And I'm thinking like, well, I guess that's who's writing it. Everything is about my feelings and this, and I don't know if I'm really up to the task. These are Starfleet people. These are people we should be looking up to, right? These are people that are more elevated and progressive in certain ways because we've gotten past a lot of stuff. We're more accepting of each other in all ways, and everything's this is what humanity aspires to be, and it's not like that at all. It's I don't even know. And just like even Captain Pike gets into it. There's this, you got to see episode 3. Captain Pike has like a gathering, and it's like, it's so annoying. I'm looking at that scene and like someone just took this from their life, because it's not like anything out of Trek. He's making ribs at like the captain's apartment, which looks like some modern condo, and Uhura's like sort of a little apprehensive about going. She does like full dress uniform, which she was tricked by Ortega into like, and it's a much more casual gathering. Haha, the joke's on her. But it was just like, this is Star Trek. This is just a bunch of, it really stood out. And
you know what it is?
Again, the dialogue's just awful. But like, I will say this, I really like the production design. I like the effects. I like just sort of the alien design. It's like, oh, this is interesting stuff, but could it just be a different starship in a different timeline? And you can tell that story. I don't want my old Star Trek ruined, which is what you're doing, which begs a larger question of maybe franchises have a shelf life. Maybe they last a certain time where it's like, once you get like, where it's like, this is fucking fanfic now. Let's be honest. Yep. This is fanfic written by lesser writers. They just are. Okay. But and this is the fate of every franchise, right? It's like, it can't last more than 50 years.
It's the fate if you have, in corporatism, right?
Right.
If this was Hollywood even 15 years ago, they would have tried to bring in writers who knew what the fuck they were doing. And now it's just like, nope, we have this box on our streaming service. We need to fill this box for a certain amount of weeks. So let's just get Kurtzman. He can fill boxes. He did a Hawaii Five-0 show. He gets his productions done on time. Just get him. But sir, he doesn't know anything about Star Trek. He said it publicly, and he's like really fucking horrible. I don't care. He fills his boxes on time, and it will fill the boxes on our little list of boxes on the box that everybody watches. Okay, go. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, Gary, you would not be surprised that is more important. That is why people who produce competent and acceptable content thrive and succeed in Hollywood, not because they create something great, but just because of that. On time, on budget, right? And also low maintenance. Mm-hmm. Someone who doesn't push back. Gene Roddenberry famously pushed back quite a bit.
That's why he lost it. Partially.
He was sidelined several times. And the guy spoke out. He spoke out about the right things, right? Gene Roddenberry spoke out about the things that mattered, which was the integrity of the show. And when you don't have someone like that steering the ship, so to speak, you end up with a show that is frustrating to watch when it should be enjoyable. But the writing is the weakest link in that show. I have no problem with any of the actors. I think the actors are fine. Anson Mount's pretty good. Like, even the woman who plays Uhura, like, I don't know why, and this is now across everything. Why do they have to make her not sexy? Nichelle Nichols was fucking sexy.
Hot.
She was.
Yeah. And they got, I don't even want to say.
don't say, but you know what I mean?
I'm
like all of those actors, I saw pictures of all those actors, like
it's Gary Coleman as Uhura. Sorry, I did it. I couldn't hold back.
Oh my God. But it just that haircut is not flattering. It's not flattering.
And then they got that really like Nurse Chapel's like smoking hot.
Yeah, she's smoking. Ooh, she's great. I like her. Young Nurse Chapel.
Then she talks, and that's gonna sound like Ryan Kinnell too. It's the lines. It's not the actress. I'm sure she would be great in anything else, but the lines written for her are. Then it's like even Pike. Everybody likes Anson Mount, right? Hell on Wheels, great show. Yeah. He's got a shitty agent, dude. This should be like this. Like this is what I'm talking about. I don't know how much longer Paramount can like shove money into a show that like nobody's watching. So they release Strange New Worlds, Chris. Like when all the Marvel stuff's coming out, we have Moon Knight ending, we have Doctor Strange starting. Like, why would you do that? Like, why in the hell would you stick with that weekend? Just go another weekend out, But I was fine with it because it buried it completely. And this is their big home run shot. This is actually them trying now. They've come out and basically said that, like, oh, we weren't trying before. We're really trying now. Then they put fucking January 6th in their first fucking episode.
Yeah, that was
lame. Fucking lame. It's fucking lame. So you immediately, anybody you wanted to reach your hand out to went, ugh. And honestly, you should. When they put that there, they are supporting that stupid fucking narrative and and then calling the summer of 2020 the summer of love. It just shows the inconsistency when I don't even know what to say, except watch the Orville. We'll even watch the trailer lately, and I don't give a shit if Hulu dings me on it. I want to watch the trailer again. I've watched the trailer a lot, and sure, this show has the potential to go woke too, but the last 2 seasons, really damn good. The last 2 episodes of season 2 are fucking good sci-fi, good fun sci-fi. They repurpose a lot of Star Trek stuff. I don't care. I don't give a shit. They get the aesthetic right. They get the feeling of it right, and I kind of love the fact that they sold it as a comedy, and they're like, no, we wanted to make a sci-fi show. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, sure, there's people with their politics, and I don't need to agree with everybody's politics to enjoy their show as long as they don't try to shove that shit down my throat. Right, Chris?
It doesn't feel preachy, the Orville. I mean, it does deal with, look, it shows the right way and the wrong way, perhaps, to deal with social issues in fantasy, because, look, it's been there from the beginning of the original series, but you never felt preached at or even condescended to or even vilified, like in the first episode of Strange New Worlds, right? Where, it just doesn't work. But the Orville just does it so well. And it is funny, but it definitely steered away from comedy. I actually like that, because at first it kind of launched as kind of a raunchy, almost Kevin Smith, like, we're using dirty words and it's in a science fiction show. It didn't need it. And I'm glad
they worked it out. Like, cause I watched the first episode. I noped out. I'm like, no.
Yeah. Same here.
Cause I wasn't, I don't know about you. I never watched Family Guy, never been a big, I like Seth MacFarlane and Hellboy 2 and Ted. I like Ted. That was funny. Yeah. But that was it. And then a friend of mine's like, nah, keep watching, dude. It gets better. So I'm like, all right. So I went and watched the 3 more episodes, and I did a review like right away. I'm like, no, this is getting good. I like this. This is really cool. And it just gets better. It gets better. And I know like the first episode is really good. So I at least know that. I can't tell you what happened, but I saw footage like 2 years ago from it, just like unfinished shots, but they put a ton of money and time into this, and they built a full set. So it's like a double, there's like 2 stories to the set, and it was like the whole thing. It took up the whole, this is the first like studio set I've been to, by the way. This was years ago.
Oh, wow. Nice.
It was on the Fox lot, right? So there's big paintings of Empire Strikes Back everywhere. It's fucking cool.
I've been on that lot many times, mostly for screenings. But yeah, it's got the Simpsons, the big mural, and then the mural with Empire Strikes Back. And if you go to one part, there is a full giant like bronze statue of Napoleon Dynamite.
Yep. And then there's also the commissary has the Simpsons in it too. So
yes, and there's another mural of Young Frankenstein.
Yes,
around the back.
Yes, there is.
Just, if you can, for any reason, go to that. I always try to go early because there's the company store, so you get Blu-rays cheap.
Yep,
and you get like all sorts of merch related to the studio, which is fine. And they just don't care if it's the company store. They figure you're there, shop. Sony has the same kind of thing. So whenever I go there for a screening, I always turn up early to just kind of walk around. You never know who you're going to run into as well.
Right.
So there you go.
Right. I've been on the Paramount lot with my friend who worked for the Dr. Phil show. He was a page for the Dr. Phil show. So,
oh my God.
So he got me in there because I just wanted to see some of the Buffy stuff. But like I got to see the full set, and it the screens worked. It was fully operational. They were filming scenes when I was there. I've talked about it. I was doing the tour with George R. R. Martin, like Tom Constantine.
I heard you tell this story where he wouldn't shake your hand.
Wouldn't shake my hand.
Oh my God!
I was the only guy there. There was 11 of us, and I was the only one. He just went right by me. I'm like, okay, he has seen my videos.
Wow. So I wonder if people had sent it. What a weird thing that guy just like won't finish that book,
isn't it? He just doesn't want to. He just like all I've ever said in my videos is be honest with the fans. That's all, and get somebody else to do it. So what?
he could collaborate. I mean, it's not unheard of, you know.
Dude, I mean Preston Jacobs is like a Game of Thrones YouTuber, and I disagree with him on most everything, but at least he's like going out and doing like fanfic. He's like, fuck it, we're just gonna write our own when's a winner. And like one of the chapters was okay. It was all right. One of them sucked, but the other one was like okay, and it actually sounded like George. It did. So I mean, fuck it. And they did that. Like he set up the project, and they did it in a couple months, and they've already got like 2 chapters written. It's like, dude, he's had 11 years, 11 fucking years. If he wrote like, I don't know, a page a day, he still would have been done a long time ago. Just a page. But no, and now he's bitter at the fans, right? For wanting something. Think about that for just a second. Like how many authors would die to have that? To have people just, please come out with your book. And now he's like, oh, I'm really sorry that's the only book you care about. I'm sorry for you. The fact that he wrote that and kept it on his blog, I just think he's a better dude. Do you think Tolkien would ever do something like that?
Doesn't sound like it, but thank God.
Tolkien would be nicer about it, but he'd also finish his book.
But also, I think that social media turns everyone into assholes. I think that really social media is a virus that has accelerated certain aspects of human behavior and not in a positive way.
Do you see a future like Dune where they get rid of AI, except they just get rid of social media?
Yes, they don't talk about, I mean, it's not really pointed out, but there are no robots in Dune, right? There's like these drones, right? These sort of drone light things, but there's no robots and there's no aliens. And it's really interesting that Frank Herbert like envisioned a future humanity where, you know, they had fought those wars that like, you know, what was it? The Butlerian Jihad is what it's out of the books. And it's sort of casually mentioned in the first Dune book and then more detailed later, where they just got rid of all that because it was detrimental to humanity's progression.
I only know from lore videos because I've tried to read that book like 17 times and I just can't do it. I just like, nope, it's too fucking slow for me. Sorry. And I've read a lot of slow books. I read George R. Martin multiple times, but I cannot get into fucking Dune. Yeah. Well,
I couldn't. I never read Lord of the Rings. Not that I'm opposed to it. It's just I never read it, and I love the animation, the animated version, and I love those movies. I feel like I got like at least and people who I respect, like yourself, you know, love those films. I mean, you know, I'm a fan of the movies, but I don't know. I'm sure Gary, you'll talk later about what we're in store.
Oh yeah,
for.
yeah, I will, and I'll talk about like what's great about Lord of the Rings and why you should read it. Because there's a rhythm, it's got its own language. The dialogue is, you know, it's some will see it as archaic. I see it as beautiful, but that's me. And it's got a great message. So what's obvious? I want to get to the part where they talk about, because this is a tome, and I read this right before I went to bed. Thanks, Garrett, for on my phone. And then I think I fell asleep like right after I read it because it was just too fucking long. And it gets into the weeds and it doesn't bring up the obvious. See, what I like to bring up is the get woke, go broke factor, which is absolutely a factor. It's an undeniable factor that they will never, ever talk about because that will be admitted defeat. It would be admitting defeat to the Nazis, which we're not. We're not white supremacists. We're not alt-right. We are paying customers. We are Joe Public, Jane Public. We are regular folk that you have been vilifying forever. And now you are faced with your own fucking consequences and you still can't admit it because for one, you're weak. And the thing is, if companies could learn, you know, because they like to see, well, a company as an individual, if they could learn to be human, they would succeed. If a company came out and showed some humility, people love that shit. People love a redemption story. People love seeing people be human and go, you know what? We fucked up. We're sorry. We're going to try better. That would go, if Kathleen Kennedy had done that 5 years ago, Star Wars would be in great shape. Great shape because it would have more goodwill. Not saying it would be better, but people would have a better attitude towards it. But for so long, we've had Hollywood, and this sucks because this not everybody's doing this. But unfortunately, the town you work for now represents you, whether you like it or not. That's the optics. And Hollywood's had this giant middle finger out to half the population for 5 years, to the point of no return, of absolutely no return. So
yeah, I think it's just going to be really hard to repair that relationship. Jonathan Haidt I don't know if you know who he is, an author. He was on Megyn Kelly's one of her shows, I think it was a couple days ago, talking about this very issue. How do you heal the divide, which is of interest to me. I think that is the pathway, is how do you heal? And it's going to be rough. That's I do recommend watching or listening to that. She has a YouTube channel and she gets some really good guests, and he's been on Bill Maher a couple times, done a lot of shows, and speaks on this topic. And it's highly recommend that. Check it out.
Yeah, no, we're going to need to. One of my favorite clips from Doctor Who's Peter Capaldi. It's in my top 5 murdered franchises, where he's like, how many things have to be blown up? How many kids have to die before we do what we always had to do from the beginning? Sit down and talk. Well, we are nowhere near the sit down and talk phase. We are nowhere near it. And quite frankly, the left has themselves to blame for that. They, for so long, repeatedly, and still do, vilify the right to make them all sound like a bunch of Nazis. And they won't back off of that position because they are not capable. The leftists are not capable of sitting down and acting like adults and having a reasoned conversation. That's why so many people are fleeing the left right now, and like in droves.
Yeah, I mean, I always consider myself, more like center left, and everything that I've seen lately is just so distressing. And I kind of feel like one side is willing to talk to the other, and the other side is not willing to talk.
And now, we're getting to the other side is not willing to talk. This is what I was always worried about, and it's justified right now. Like, because why should they? At this point, why should they? What has the left done to extend the olive branch? I think that olive branch will come in the form of people like you, people like me, center left people, just fleeing to the other side. And then it might, shame them into obscurity. That would be my hope, without any, civil war, which I'm not worried about, by the way. And you shouldn't be either.
No, I always hear, like, I don't know. I think Tim Pool wants a civil war. Like, the way he keeps talking about it, it's definitely Chicken Little in that sense. And I don't think that there could not be a traditional type of that. I mean, it doesn't. I'm not an alarmist in that sense. I think at some point people have to just learn to respect each other and begin to have conversations. And I see people like we were talking before the stream started about Bill Maher and what he talked about on his last episode of his show, which has gotten a lot of people talking. I feel like some things kind of leak out to him when he, pays attention beyond whatever his writers are trying to tell him what to say. He had some really interesting things to say. And I feel like he's a guy that's willing to listen, because he's like a 2008 leftist, you know what I mean? Like, so a more sober-minded, not so much an alarmist.
Not so much. Right. And it's nice to see him coming around. I don't believe it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's also a huge narcissist too. So
yeah, I mean, like, and you're right. That could play well for us. Hey, listen, he's saying good things, and if it helps turn the tide, fuck it. If we got to use them, whatever, I don't care. Whatever gets the tide turning, fine. But I'd like to see some, like Russell Brand. I think his is pretty genuine. Like he's made quite a change too, but I think it's pretty genuine and it's pretty focused on freedom, which I'm fine with. We can have different interpretations of how we get to freedom. I don't think we can have different interpretations of freedom, but how we get there, I'm fine. Like whatever gets us more free. If I'm wrong about my interpretation, that's great. I will say I was wrong. We're more free. We win. That's it. That's what we need to be constantly fighting for, because we have authoritarians out there right now that are just fucking, I mean, they are rooting up with they got their little totalitarian pom-poms out, and they want a boot to our neck, and Hollywood is playing part in this. And this is bad. This is very, very bad. The artists always have to be calling out the system. I think that's pretty normal, right? In my lifetime. When I start seeing the artists being the system, that's where I think that the one thing Hunger Games got right was their depiction of the media in those movies. Yeah. I thought that was just spot on. So real quick, let's get back to Netflix, Flicks, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs out of order so we don't have to read this whole thing, right? But Disney may be better off from a return on investment perspective, not chasing Netflix down the local content and general entertainment path with a massive super service, according to Michael Nathanson, principal at Moffett-Nathanson. Rather, it may be more it might make more financial sense to use Disney, Marvel, Pixar, and Lucasfilm. Now, by the way these bankers see this thing, they don't understand that Lucasfilm is like losing value by the day. Okay? And I'll get back to that when we do the Disney article, because I've noticed some analytics and excitement for Star Wars. I know this is probably breaking news. It'll shock you all. Is down quite a bit. Brands and content libraries to deliver a more targeted service to a smaller number of higher paying core fans, he suggests. Well, here's the problem with that. That's actually pretty smart. If you're like Marvel, it's like, we've got this built-in fan base, and Scott Mendelson made the point, and it was good. And I hate to say that because he's a fucking cuties-loving freak. But he did say, towards the end with Twilight and Harry Potter, it was the built-in audience that carried those movies and a little bit of FOMO. But they weren't like growing audience by the end. They weren't, because the movies weren't as good. They were getting a little more lazy at the end. That's just what happens in Hollywood. More money gets involved, people get lazier. It's weird, but that's what happens. I still liked them, but man, they fucked up those last two books. That being said, that's the logic he was using for Marvel, and I think that's pretty fucking smart. The problem is, what is the hardcore Marvel fan? Because these normies, these little anonymous dipshits who come out on Twitter, they'll be gone. They're fickle. They'll be gone in a couple of years. They're going to defend this stuff like it is, like they're defending their mom, and then they're going to be on to the next shiny thing. Could be Avatar, could be whatever. I was the core fan. You were the core fan. And they told us to fuck off. So that's the big problem with their logic. The people they want to, libraries to deliver more targeted service to, were told to fuck off. So that'll be funny. We'll see, because I think that's actually a smart way to go. Unfortunately, you weren't smart for the last 4 years. It also goes into, I need to read this article to you, Chris, to see if I misinterpreted it, because I think this would be interesting. The market is now worried that the combination of Disney Plus subscriber guidance and rising costs to compete more broadly with non-Disney brands will result in a less impressive business at steady state, Nathanson wrote on May 12th. Meanwhile, the stock market meltdown might give rise to more of an M&A activity. I don't even know what this fucking shit means, but whatever. That's not the point. In the months ahead, that could further shake up the industry. Lightshed's Grenfell also floated a potential scenario in which Disney offloads Hulu. And so to me, Hulu feels duplicative. I can say it for Disney. Instead of spending, I've done so many drugs. I just have mini strokes once in a while. Just ignore them. Spending those dollars, buying out Comcast's stake in Hulu, they can deploy that capital elsewhere. He says, with an estimate $18 billion in cash from selling Hulu, as Disney tie-up with Netflix couldn't be out of the question, given that Netflix market cap has collapsed by 2/3 this year and less than $90 billion, which has rippled through the entire industry. Now, Disney still owes money for Hulu, and they got to pay it in 2024. That's why they had that big estimate of subscribers in 2024, by the way. So they owe Hulu Oh, I forgot the amount. It's up here at 27.5 billion. So they can turn owing Hulu, or I think it's Fox, 27.5 billion into getting 18 billion by selling it. And this is what I always talked about with Disney buying Marvel and Star Wars. And I use the analogy when Disney bought. Remember when Disney bought all those sport teams, Chris?
Yeah, that's right.
Remember when they bought the Angels and the Ducks and the Big A in Anaheim? Then they had to sell them because they sucked at it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. One of those franchises is gonna have to be sold or offloaded. Lucasfilm, Pixar. I don't think Marvel or Lucasfilm, but Pixar.
Yeah,
maybe, because you know what? Just poach it and make it Disney Animation. All the good Pixar people have left anyway, off to Apple, right? So that's what they talk about. Zaslav going in, and he is saddled with 55 billion in debt, by the way. That's why he's out there. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Disney would ever get rid of Hulu, Chris? Or do you think that's just crazy?
100%. 100%. I mean, I could definitely see them offloading it. I think you're going to not only see that, you're going to see some mergers here and there. You're going to see, I mean, who knows, like Paramount might make a play for Hulu and maybe that fits their strategy, but you're going to see consolidation because clearly with inflation and, look, I'm doing some belt tightening myself, and saying, I just don't need this. I don't need that, and I think people look at like, do I really need to spend, $150 a month for all these different streaming services? And I could just have less and share some passwords, which everyone does. But dude, I use like 2 apps to save on gas. And then I use a specific credit card at a specific gas station to save an extra 3%. So because I live in California, where gas is like $7.
Yeah. So is it an app that like finds you cheaper gas? Locates it? Okay.
There's 2 apps that I use, Upside, and I use the Exxon Mobil app, which you get points. Then that turns into money. So yeah, it's Upside is the name of the app. And yeah, you just sign up and it shows you, I mean, literally I'll save like 30 cents a gallon using that app, sometimes 40 cents.
So I'm going to make you feel real bad now. Because I'm mean.
Oh, don't. Oh my God.
People are really complaining about the gas prices here that just hit $4. It's terrible.
Oh, no.
And I went to register my car, and it took 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I got my license plates. They handed me my license plates, and the lady was nice. I was like, "Who are you? Did you just tell me to have a nice day?"
Yeah, no, it's weird how people are so much more friendly not here. I mean, I'm friendly kind of wherever I am, but it's weird because
friendly guy.
If you're friendly to some people in LA, they look on it as an assault. Like, why are you talking to me? It's like, oh, I just said, hey, how's it going? Hello. I'll look someone in the eye and I'll say hello. And I have no idea how people in California are going to react, but
usually it's, what do you want from me?
Yeah, exactly. Well, they actually should think that way.
They should, because that's the way, God, that was such a, I had heard about it, Chris. I had heard about like the way, Hollywood was and LA was in the work environments there. Mm-hmm. But I always thought it was like super over exaggerated. Like most things are. I'm like, I met like 2 nice people my entire time. And like, I don't know. I wasn't set up for it. I think there's a certain type of personality, and I don't think this is not a criticism at all. This is my weakness. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think there's just people who can be a little more diplomatic. You got to be a little more diplomatic. You got to for me, it's just like I have to take too many deep breaths. I have to too many back, so like I'll be diplomatic for the first time, but you have to be diplomatic a lot. And I'm like, you get 1 or 2 out of me and then I'm fuck off, and it didn't play very well at all. And it's just lucky I was like the only person who would do this job. And it was a job that Technicolor made up. It's called a pre-mastering technician. So essentially, I did everything at the end of the process of making a Blu-ray or a DVD, down to fixing menus, QCing. But I did like this super QCing. Like I had to make sure, and I had to watch shit over and over and over again. And I worked right next to the vault, you know. And I worked from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And I was the only person to take that shift. So I just made myself indispensable.
Nice.
Yeah. It was all right.
But also, I'm going to guess probably soulless, as every corporate job tends to feel after a while.
So soulless. Yeah. I mean, I had access to a lot of stuff. So if I got my work done early, I could watch like movies.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I got to see some like stuff I'd like, you know, this is before streaming was everywhere. So I had access to like everything. It was great.
Nice.
Okay, we're going to read a couple donations and soups. Then we're going to get into, after endorsing calling all white people racist, Lucasfilm prepped actress Moses Ingram against racist backlash to her Obi-Wan Kenobi character.
What?
Lucasfilm needs to die. Like it's they don't deserve your love. They don't deserve your money. I know, like I'm keeping my word. I'm not reviewing this shit. I'm keeping my word. I can even run a poll. I doubt my audience even wants me to review it. I'll do a poll. It's not going to change my mind, but I'll do a poll. But I'm keeping my word. I'm not fucking reviewing this shit. I think it's important. I just think what else can be said? Star Wars still sucks. It still sucks. They're going to fuck up Obi-Wan. Okay. Well, you know, now they're going to fuck it up for the prequel fans. That's great.
I just don't care anymore. Yeah. Like, I really don't care. I mean, to me, I was sort of like done with Star Wars after like Last Jedi. It felt like a closing of a chapter. And I had, because I'm an idiot, I had hope for The Rise of Skywalker just based on the title and what I thought was going to happen when I was proven completely wrong. But I just don't care about it. And Mandalorian has been, you know, it's a TV show, and for TV, it's like, oh, okay, cool. This is the sort of period of time that they should have explored with the sequels. But I feel like they fucked up with that first movie, The Force Awakens. They fucked up from the opening crawl, which didn't really explain, you know, didn't do the world building it was supposed to do. It really should have done the world building, at least with that. And then, I'm kind of done with Star Wars. And here's the thing. I have tickets to Star Wars Celebration and I don't want to go, and I can sell them. So if anyone would like to purchase my Star Wars Celebration tickets, I have 2 4-day badges. You can DM me on Twitter. I'm that Chris Gore on Twitter. I'll find a way to meet you. I'm in Pasadena, California.
So you're not going to go?
I'm to sell them to you because I just don't need to go. I'm done. I just don't care. I feel like I even feel, this sounds weird, Gary. I don't feel welcome going to a Star Wars convention.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
It's weird for me to say those words out loud because I went to Star Wars Celebration 1, which was like in 1999, and it was at the Denver Air and Space Museum, or Air and Flight Museum or something. It rained the entire time, and Anthony Daniels was walking the line of people waiting outside, soaking in the rain. There was a spirit of Star Wars is coming back. This was before Episode 1, and I went to all but 2 of the Star Wars celebrations. And I go there really to hang out with like-minded fans. I don't feel that exists now. I feel there's definitely a divide in the fandom. And even like, to me, I just look at like how Gina Carano was treated. Mm-hmm. And it's so great to see the videos coming out of MegaCon from Drunk 3PO and just
Geeks
like
and Gamers. Things. Yeah. Like that was awesome. And yeah, I'm going to review her movie. That's what I'm going to do instead. I will watch her movie and review it on this channel, on the main channel. That's what I will do instead of Kenobi, because fuck Lucasfilm.
Well, that's a step in the right direction, Gary. It's sort of like something that, with my channel, with Film Thread, our agenda is always like, hey, a lot of this stuff is not great. Let's actually have other options, right?
Mhm.
Here's some other things that you should be checking out. And there's a ton of it. We did our, just a quick plug on my channel. We did this awards show over the weekend, which is kind of a parody of an award show because I think award shows suck, which is why I wanted to create my own. So it was just like fun. We all drink, we get together with independent filmmakers, and we give out awards to like really cool small indie movies. And like James Duval was there for a movie called I Challenger, which is a great weird stoner comedy, like existential stoner comedy. I don't know if you know James Duval. He was in Independence Day. He's been in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
You know him if you see him.
I definitely like next year. I want to help you out with this as much as possible.
You got to come to the awards. And Shut In won. So Daily Wire people were there.
Oh, sweet. See, yeah, like I'm down. You need any help with this, like promoting it or anything, just hit me up, dude.
Well, you can watch the show. I mean, it's weird. I mean, it's like we've got like indie sci-fi, indie horror, indie WTF, Willy's Wonderland won in that category. And the director was there. It was great. The director and writer from Willy's Wonderland were there. So these are small indie movies, right? But they don't get any play. And part of what I'm trying to do is like, if you watch the show, it's 2 hours. It's an award show. It's cheesy, but we make fun of it. We make fun of how stupid award shows are. And it's, you get little glimpses of some of these movies, and I guarantee you're going to want to see some of these movies. And we have a documentary. We have several documentary categories, and one of the documentaries we talk about is The Boys in Red Hats. And I don't know if I think I've talked about this before. It's a documentary about Nick Sandman and what happened with those kids who wore the MAGA hats, that were on CNN, and then they got death threats. They were doxxed, like all this stuff happened to them, and they were literally just wrong place, wrong time. Video camera was there, documented them, and they're suddenly like vilified. It's exactly what you were talking about earlier about people being violent towards people they don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
And that doc is a brilliant documentary. It's a total indictment of the mainstream media and how we're manipulated, and it's very eye-opening. And it's not a right-wing documentary. It is a documentary about how the mainstream media are full of shit.
Yeah, and how these kids. How these kids, these human beings were used and vilified, and it's fucking horrible. And this is our authoritative sources. Fuck
exactly.
that.
Not anymore. But I would just say, go to my channel. It's called Award This. We even do a red carpet, but every aspect of it, it's like we're mocking award shows while we're doing an award show. And then we are acknowledging movies. And it is like, it's very politically, like Film Thread's always been like politically in the middle. So you will see movies that are left wing. You'll see movies that are right wing, but there's another movie, Bastards Road, which is about a veteran Marine who walks across America 3,000 miles as a way to kind of heal himself and meets with all his Marine buddies. And it's just it's a movie that the mainstream media won't even talk about. And some of it, my colleagues who have small movie websites, they won't even review these films, which kind of is disgusting to me. You're not doing your due diligence in that sense. I think every channel has taste and whatnot, or every website has a certain taste, but Jesus, like these movies are being ignored. So check out this award show. We had a lot of people in the chat who were saying like they've discovered some movies they want to add to a list of movies they want to see. And that's part of the goal of the event. So, and I'd love to have you, Gary. You could present an award. It'll be fun.
That'll be rad. Before we started doing this show, I was asking if there's somebody out there who could be an aggregate of some kind for independent films. Just to like make us aware, because like it's so hard.
Well,
and that's what you're doing. Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, 73 different movies you get a taste of, and you get to see like scenes and this shit. Oh my God, there's a great short film called ASMR for White Liberals. And it's a black guy who's like whispering nice things to liberals, and it's fucking hilarious.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You got to see it. You got to, skim through it. There's sort of like, there's mistakes like with every award show, it's like this small thing we do in a movie theater in Santa Ana, California. But all these people give speeches about like what it's like. And I hope that like, if anyone watching the Nooner right now, is aspiring to be a filmmaker, watch this show, because it's the kind of inspiration that you need to go out there and freaking just do it. Make a documentary, make a short film, you can do this. I mean, I'm telling you,
it's easier now than ever.
You can do it. So yeah, I hope you check it out. I don't know. I forgot where we started. My apologies, Gary. I didn't mean to go that long on a plug.
No, you can plug. That's fine. Absolutely. Plug away. What I was going to say after that is like, the more stuff I'm aware of, I will make the time to review it. I will fucking make the time to review alternative stuff. Once we're all settled in here, I've already promised my editors that I would mix in something good once in a while just to give them a break. And that's happening soon. So yeah, we're going to start, looking at alternatives, whether it's looking back, looking forward, looking sideways, but we're going to start looking for alternatives too. I'm not capable. I'm not capable of making a movie or doing a comic because I just don't have time or the desire. I'm very happy in my YouTube seat, and this is where I'm going to stay until they rip this microphone out of my dead hands. But I think, we are seeing a change. There's little things I'm seeing. My wife was watching a movie. Now, I don't know how it ended, so I don't know if it ends in a good place, but it was called Senior Year, and it's that British female comedian who used to be rotund and is no longer rotund. And I guess she gets in a coma. She goes into a coma and she has to finish out her senior year, blah, blah, blah. But the long story short, they're making fun of modernity, at least in the parts that my wife was showing me. She was fucking losing her shit laughing because they were just making fun of like modern high school. And it probably ends like fucking lame, but I mean, I don't know how it ended, but like when you're starting to see it getting mocked, this is good. This is good. So for the Marvel stands out there who, I don't know, might be slightly on the spectrum and think I'm serious all the time. When I'm saying MCU, when I'm mocking, I hate explaining jokes. I really do. It sucks, but I'm mocking it. I'm making fun of it. I don't lose any sleep over it at all.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Gary, because even in the Ricky Gervais special, which is awesome, it's you got to see it. It dropped on Netflix like on Tuesday.
I saw a couple clips. I saw the clip. We'll show it again later.
Yeah. It's but it's interesting because he does have to explain things. This is how stupid people are, right?
Or
this is the idiocracy we're currently living. Is you need to explain that this joke I'm about to tell is a joke. And I can't tell you, this is what's always turned me off from Twitter is too many stupid people. It's just that if I have to explain myself, or if you don't understand that there's subtext or layers, then you're a fucking moron. Or in most cases, children. When I say children in adult bodies, which is most young adults today are children in adult bodies. They haven't had real experiences with people that aren't off a device, not a digital interaction, a human interaction. So they don't understand context or layers or nuance even. So I'm not going to educate people. I don't have time. I'm not even going to tell them to get educated. I just mute. That's what I do. I don't block. I mute. I just don't. I don't have time for your stupidity.
I don't block or mute, but I got close to one. I got close to muting Uche because like his takes are so horrifically bad. I feel like I'm getting dumber every time I read one of them. Other than that, I like to see what's being said. And every time I put, it's predictable as the sun coming up. Every time I put something up Marvel, I get a certain amount of Marvel stands. I just decided to put the foot on the gas a couple of nights ago and have a little fun and just fucking trigger the shit out of them. And man, it was good. I got the response I needed. Talked me into doing a video, but it's like, the constant like, you hate women. For one, I'm married to one, have been for almost 20 years. So I can't hate women. And they always want to put you on the defensive. That's why I'm like, don't even bother with, for one, my wife made a good point when somebody accuses you of racism and you're like, wait a minute, but I hang out with black people, and they go, you can't use that as an excuse. Yes, you can, because a racist wouldn't do that. Also, we have a quarter Asian son, but we stop with all the defensive. That's what they want. They don't care about the accusation. They don't really think you're racist. They just want you backpedaling all the time. Fuck that. Go on the offensive now. Go on the offensive. Just go, okay, groomer, you like diddling kids? I mean, we can't do that. Bullshit. We've been called fucking Nazis for 4 fucking years. If it'll shut you up, it'll shut you up.
I just don't. I hate that response. That once they go to the names, like the ists and the isms, like it's just it's. I feel like once you go there, it's like you don't have an argument. You're not willing to engage or have a conversation.
Absolutely.
And I feel like this way when it comes to a lot of things. If you can't have an honest conversation, there will be no progress. And I feel like I really am sort of looking very closely at this, and I feel like. And I think I brought this up before. It's like, I really just have to ask, do you want progress or revenge? Because it feels like revenge is what you really want. And you don't want to have the conversation, and you don't want to be honest with yourself. And I feel this way when it comes to certain communities could really progress and do much better if they were able to have an honest conversation with themselves. And that's not possible. It's sort of like with anything, like Gary, you've gone through, some very positive transformations in your life. And it took you being honest with yourself and your, what you had to deal with in order to be able to progress and get to where you are now. And that goes for everybody. And also goes for, groups of people. You have to be able to have an honest conversation.
And here's the problem with that, though, because the only time when I was, and this is something you have to do. It's unavoidable, by the way, if you want to progress. If we want to progress as a society, got to hit bottom. And part of that hitting bottom is really straight and tough talk. And if it makes, if somebody gets rattled enough to where they make themselves finally look at themselves in the mirror, that's good. But the problem is we can't as a society hit bottom or wait for half of our fucking population to hit bottom. And I don't know how we get there. I just don't. The way we can, for one, nothing's ever going to be fixed the way we want it to perfectly. We're going to have to come to an understanding. That's just a fact. We're not going to dominate, conquer, win. That shouldn't even be part of it. No, we should want to work together. I don't want to force my will on you. I don't want you to believe exactly how I believe. That's not at all. I just want you to respect mine and respect others. That's it. And every time we joke around and call out, transgender Billy Piper, it doesn't mean we don't want transgender people to exist. And we have to come out and say that. But people will take that criticism as to how we see the entirety of life, and that here's the biggest evil in that. It's not fucking dumb. I could understand you being dumb. A dumb, ignorant, inexperienced shithead. I'll accept that. Disingenuous. Making the argument, it isn't true. I mean, my critics out there, they're not all fucking dumb. They all know when they call me a platformer of white supremacists. They know that's not true, but they push it anyway because I hurt their little feelings about a fucking TV show. You know how fucking weak that makes you? You know how far off from actual progress you are? I can practice restraint. I can not watch that stuff, not give a shit about it, move on from it. Don't give a fuck what you say because I have no respect for you. But you, on the other hand, have to live with you, and you're going to have a really fucking rough life if somebody's different opinion on a TV show bothers you so much that you need to slander, lie, be disingenuous over and over again instead of having just a argument. You could disagree with the opinion all day long. But going to alt-right all the fucking time, for one, now you've made it meaningless. And now, I joke about it. Fucking my profile on Twitter, I call myself an alt-rohirrim. So I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck what you guys think. It's but if you want things to get better, maybe start realizing that even though I might be hard line on some stuff to some people, look at your side of the aisle. Don't worry about me. I'm not the one writing this shit. I'm just reacting to it. And what they really don't like, Chris, what they really don't like, it's not like what I say, and we've said this a million times. It's not what Jeremy says. It's not what you say. It's not what Az says. It's our connecting with people, and what we hear the most at meetups is you said what I was thinking or what I was saying, and I felt alone. And we weren't alone. And that's exactly how I came here too. So we're just a conduit, nothing special. We're just fans. We are just fans. That's what we'll always be. And somehow the others have not been able to connect with their audience the same way. Because for one, they probably see it as their audience and it's not the audience, something that they are a part of. And the audience is always smarter than the content creator. Always.
Yeah, I go back to that quote that Gina Carano said, after she was let go. I think she said this on Ben Shapiro when she did the interview. And she said that, you destroyed, what was it? Something about like, you smear me with lies when I could destroy you with the truth.
Yep.
And I love that quote. And that's why, like, seeing the giant, she had the biggest line at MegaCon. She is beloved. And she's so gracious towards fans, and she's so appreciative, which I think is sort of a secret to happiness in life, is just to appreciate what you have, in spite of your circumstances, and not point the finger at others as to why you're unhappy. And I see the other side pointing the finger and blaming others for their inability to somehow find peace, happiness, success, whatever it is. The only person holding them back is them. But I looking at this article, it's just, I remember that when Lucasfilm was kind of standing by like certain people who had said like really incendiary racist shit, because I think it's pretty clear, and more people are talking about this now. Douglas Murray in particular, you might want to look him up. He wrote that book, The Madness of Crowds, and he's done some interviews on a bunch of things. And he was just talking about the only socially acceptable form of racism now is against white people.
Yes.
And I'm against all forms of racism. I don't think there should be any of it. But when it is okay for our particular group to be attacked like that, and then also the hypocrisy when you point it out, like, well, why can this person say this? But if the opposite were true, if you just flipped the race, the gender, whatever, it's not acceptable. Well, it shouldn't be acceptable for anybody to say it about any of that. It's I don't know. I can't believe that it's so rampant. It's completely turned off the audience, and it's created this total societal upheaval.
Oh, there's something in their vocabulary now for what our criticism is. Maybe it's been around for a while, but I'm starting to see all the, fucking bread tuber shitheads say, white replacement theory. But then there was a movement called Time's Up.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I don't believe it's white replacement theory. I would say it's more masculinity. That's what would be mine, is masculinity replacement fact. It's not a theory, it's fact. It's what's going on right now. What we're seeing is not happening just to white men. We talked about it yesterday on the Real BBC. It's happening to men, just to men. And also, we're doing women a disservice by minimizing femininity, like making it a weakness, because that's what the position they're coming from. And that has been my argument from day one. Making the doctor a female was sexist.
Yeah.
Why would you use an established male brand and slap it on a woman instead of just doing using a female character? There's a couple of popular ones, one immensely popular one in Doctor Who that you could have made a separate show on and just built up and given it as much attention because they didn't believe in it because it was a female character. That's sexism. That's the definition of it. But no, it was about getting revenge, Chris. Like you said before, it was about getting revenge, and the fans knew it, and that's why they're pissed, and that's why they're not coming back. But let's get to this. After endorsing calling all white people racist, Lucasfilm prepped actress Moses Ingram against racist backlash to her Obi-Wan Kenobi character, who will probably be the star of the show. Another reason you don't need to watch it, by the way, I forgot to see how did my poll end up? It's 50-50.
Really?
Yeah, it's 50-50.
Oh, dude. Come on. I want to, you're going to talk about it on FNT. You're going to watch it. You're going to talk about it on FNT. You know, I want to know your take on Kenobi. I mean, we can kind of already see where it's going. It sounds awful. All the things we wish were not going to happen. And what it's doing is it's destroying the legacy of the original films. It's not expanding on it. It's not adding context or like explaining like, you know, why he calls himself Ben or whatever. I'm sure they'll put that in there. But it looks awful. And it definitely looks like this new character is going to be the hero of a show that doesn't bear her name. I don't know. Like and I feel bad for the actress, right? Like she's a hired gun. Actors are freelancers effectively. You know, you work for a short period of time, you get paid very well, but then you probably don't work the rest of the year. That's a lot of my actor friends are like that.
Well, I mean, how are these actors getting roles now? Because they're being hired based on the color of their skin. They're not getting hired on merit. So, and it's really obvious in some cases.
But I always like those stories when you read interviews with directors like Ridley Scott or whatever. It's just like, oh, well, this person was just the best actor.
Yep.
They weren't looking, they were colorblind when they were looking, but they weren't looking to say, fill a Supreme Court seat with a certain type of person, right? Like, how about the best person? So
we need the best people for the job, and that can inspire more people, and that way you'll naturally get natural diversity, which what life is. It's natural diversity. We can't help how we got here, okay? And I'm not sorry. I'm very happy. I'm very grateful. I was born in sunny Southern California. I'm fortunate. Yep. I won the lotto on that one. That was cool. Life wasn't that easy, but you know, c'est la vie. Like I say, internalize the knowledge that life is not fair. And once you do that and accept it for what it is, it makes life easier. Life isn't fair. You're owed death. That's what you're owed at the end of the day or your life. We're going to look at Gina. I'm sure Jeremy won't mind. There's a clip on Geeks and Gamers after I read this. Gina talks. She's got some wise words. That young lady. She's pretty smart. Lucasfilm, a subsidiary of the Walt Disney Corporation, believes that Star Wars fan base is racist. Oh, I think they fully believe this. This is something, not everybody, but most. And according to actress Moses Ingram, who plays Inquisitor Reva Savander in the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series on Disney Plus, warned her she would face racism for playing the character. I don't think anybody, I mean, it is kind of weird how the Nazi empire has become really diverse.
Yeah, no, that's weird because I always saw them as like definitely a proxy for the Nazis.
Yes.
You know, like, and so
she's a black Nazi. Know. She's a black Nazi.
I saw the rebels as being more diverse, whatever. I mean, did George Lucas have a conversation with Billy D. Williams? You know, when you play this character, Billy D. Lando Calrissian, who's this suave badass who later is going to turn out to be polyamorous, or what is he now? Like, is he?
He fucks toasters. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he had a relationship with it's so dumb. Like, I don't care. But you know, like, did George Lucas have the same conversation? He didn't have to have the conversation.
No,
he didn't have to have the conversation. It's just
Billy D. Williams is one of the coolest people who ever lived. Like, period. Yeah. Like, he doesn't need any of that shit. I never thought, God, as a kid, I never fucking think once about him being black. He was Lando.
No, I didn't think. I thought he was cool.
Was Lando's old buddy. He had a fucking cape and a Lobot. And
Lobot. And just like all the,
he betrayed Han. But even as a kid, you understand, like, he was kind of sorry he did it, but he had no choice. And then, he redeems himself and they're very forgiving of him. But Chewie does fucking choke him. That does count for something.
He was in an awful position. Vader there, what is he supposed to do?
He was trying to protect his people. No, I got it as a 10-year-old and loved it. It's fucking stupid. So you know what I think is more racist? What they did to Finn's character. Yeah.
In the Star Wars sequels, he's a janitor. He's a coward.
You shrunk him on a poster for China. You were racist, Disney.
Yeah, Disney, the same company calling out the fans. They're the ones that did. And his character, he didn't even get to really complete his character arc. I personally, after seeing Force Awakens, thought, well, the most interesting character is Finn because we've never seen that.
Easily.
We've seen Jedi. We've never seen a stormtrooper go to the other side. We've never seen, these aren't stormtroopers who are clones. These are stormtroopers who were taken as children away, and they were taken to a school where they were indoctrinated. I'm not talking about America. I'm talking about,
like Hitler Youth, like Nazi youth. Yeah, it absolutely works for me. That whole story works for me. I would have loved to have seen it explored.
It never was. It never was explored.
Simply,
it was never his character arc didn't come to what it should have been. Dude. And John Boyega, I think he's done with Star Wars. He'll never come back. I mean, that character became a joke, especially by the third movie where he's just yelling Rey every 5 minutes. And then J.J. Abrams admits to cutting out a line that explained what he was saying. They were cutting that movie up until the last.
Imagine. I'm just more into the quote unquote Last Jedi fans. I'm sure there's somebody who genuinely likes it, but I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the people. Imagine being a person who likes or doesn't like something based on how somebody else feels about it.
Right. Who cares?
That is what 6-year-olds do. Like little 7-year-old Tommy likes something, for some reason you got pissed off at Tommy and he likes G.I. Joe and you're like, fuck G.I. Joe because Tommy likes it. Not that you hate G.I. Joe. You just fuck Tommy. Like he's a fucking dick. And I'm going to hate everything he likes. Yeah, that's what 7-year-olds do. And that might be pushing it at 7. Just saying. Ingram's revelation that Lucasfilm believes their Star Wars fan base is racist. Sorry, I didn't roll that well enough. Racist comes a little over a year after the company endorses support calling all white people racist. If you recall, back in January of 2021, Bounding Into Comics reported that newly hired Star Wars The High Republic had previously claimed that white people are racist. In March 2020, Ariel tweeted, "White people fucking stop it. Your racism won't save you. Your ignorance is not an excuse." Yeah, I remember that. Because I made a video on it. And she also wrote that white conservatives, please stop invoking racism like you give a shit. You don't. You just want to be able to say, what about when someone calls out 45 and his blatant racism. Yeah, so when you say what about, that's just to say what about. Like, that's how crazy leftists see facts now. You're just trying to contradict my dogmatic belief in my religion. Like what about the dinosaur bones that we keep finding? Same thing.
Right.
In June 2020, she also wrote, just a reminder that white women are just as complicit. I mean, that's true. No, I'm just kidding. In the upholding of enforcing white supremacy. So, yeah, I mean, that's been one of the biggest hoodwinks of the Me Too Time's Up era is white women becoming a minority. They are the most privileged things alive. Especially when they're pretty. The official Star Wars account came out in support of Ariel, whatever her name is, writing, our Star Wars community is one of hope and inclusivity, except for you fucking Republicans. Die. We don't stand for bullying or racism. What the fuck was that? What was she doing right there? I think that's racism. We support Christiana Ariel. Yeah. And where was that support for Gina Carano? See, and many of us have said this over and over again. If they would have just left Gina alone, that's consistent. I can respect that. Right? Let everybody pop off. If you're going to let people pop off, let everybody pop off. That's fine. I don't have a problem with her saying that. That's free speech and stuff. But the fact that she could say it, and who the fuck is she, by the way? And they let go of Gina Carano, who was a cash cow for Disney. They weren't paying her very much to be in the show, and they were making a ton off her toy. She was an incredibly popular. The merch would have been insane. The merch sales would have been worth having Gina around. But Disney is filled with fucking pussies, a bunch of cowards that are being like Bob Chapek is being pushed around by Pablo Hidalgo. That's essentially what's happening. Little fat dumpy Pablo Hidalgo is pushing around big fat dumpy fucking Bob Chapek. Yeah. And you know what? All of this is the other Bob's fault. Bob Iger went out like, how hard is it to like, oh, I'm such a genius. I bought Star Wars than Marvel. The funny part is you fucked him up.
Yeah. Again, it can't be de-emphasized. Not reuniting Han, Luke, and Leia when Carrie Fisher was alive in that first movie, and making the first movie about, you don't need to even kill those characters off. You could have you could sunset those characters in the sense of like, hey, we're going to pass this off to another generation, and maybe they have cameos in 8 and 9 or whatever. But that first movie should have been about them reuniting, them sort of getting back into the fight, and then how they kind of fade maybe into the background. I'm okay with that. And I didn't dislike the new characters. Like I say, I think Finn was the most interesting. He was totally misused. Rey is boring. And the fact that they couldn't figure out what they were going to do with her. It's just, how could they have screwed that up? It really is. It's one of those things that you could probably definitely do a class at a university, because there's so many worthless things being taught at universities now, but a class on how they fucked that up. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not looking forward to Kenobi, and I'm pleased to. I'm going to report to you right now, Gary. I checked my DMs on Twitter. Not one person has reached out to me to purchase my pass for Star Wars Celebration.
Wow.
0 people have done that. So I'm probably just going to go down and I have some friends that are just going to go to the hotel bar and right outside the Anaheim Convention Center.
I would love to go hang with you. Yeah, I would. But I'm going there again. And we definitely have to talk about, we can tease it a little bit for San Diego. So
yes,
you're going to be premiering your doc, right?
Yes.
And we're going to be doing a thing. So we might be combining these things, right? So
let's combine them.
Yep.
Let's combine them.
So we'll do something earlier, and then we'll do the premiere of it. So the full focus is on your doc.
I love that.
And we're working on that. I got press to San Diego Comic-Con, so I accepted it. But I'm not going in unless they fucking get rid of the mask thing. No. So I got fucking press for San Diego Comic-Con. Jeremy did too at Geeks because we both applied at the same time. Jeremy's not going because fuck masks, and I'm not going to go in because fuck masks unless I can find a way to sneak in without it or something. Because I ain't
there a mask you can wear that like.
It's the symbolism of it now. I refuse. Nope.
It's weird. Like I can't tell you how much. Like I was at a screening last night of a film. I saw the new David Cronenberg Crimes of the Future, and half the audience is in masks. Now these are LA people, whatever. The group of my friends that I sat with, none of us wear masks. We don't care. But I feel like, especially that one mask where people look like a duck. They have like a duck bills on their face. What is that? The N95. Like you just look stupid now. You just look. It's ridiculous. So I don't know. It just like I really feel that it's there's a mental illness behind this now that has affected a lot of people. And
yeah, I fully believe San Diego Comic-Con wanted to do this to virtue signal. I think it's really dumb. It's going to affect their con adversely, like really bad. And I just refuse to do it. Fuck that. I'm not going to comply. I will not comply. No, you can't make me. And I think if everybody just showed up to the con without their masks on, They couldn't fucking do shit.
Well, that's what happened at WonderCon. At WonderCon, like they were not enforcing it in the hall. Nobody cared. And I just walked around with an iced coffee. I will never do the chin diaper thing. I think that looks stupid. That looks even worse than having a mask on. So I don't chin diaper because like you just look like an idiot, you know? But I just walked around with an iced coffee and I talked to a bunch of vendors. I would go up to the vendors that weren't wearing masks, which was a lot of them because they don't care. And yeah, they weren't enforcing it.
Oh, the
in
vendors
the hall.
are pissed. At least the ones I talked to, they're mad.
Well, it's gonna reduce capacity. I mean, there's still you can't buy 4-day passes, but you can buy certain days are sold out for Star Wars Celebration. But they were selling vendor booths. They're still selling vendor.
They're
booths
still selling it, yeah. Because dude, it's happening. I mean, it's falling apart. This whole thing is falling apart. You take 2 years off, that's part of it too. But there are vendors who believe, there are vendors who have been going to con for years who gave it up because they refuse to do this. They just gave up their fucking pass. They're like, fuck that, not doing it. And they've been going to con for 20 years. If I'm allowed to name this vendor, I will check and I will get back to you with who this person is. But this, I mean, it's a staple. It's a fucking staple there if you're into buying comics anyway. It sucks because I wanted to go. I wanted to go. I love just, for the experience with the people. I don't go into Hall H anymore. I don't care about any of that. I usually just go in with my shopping list and look for hot toys you can't find, and then go hang out with Chris Gore.
But we're gonna do that.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun, and at least that part will be fun. Like outside of the con, it'll be we'll see. We'll see how many people show up. Used to be a lot. Yeah. 1 million people downtown, and
it's not. I think it's going to be kind of it's not going to be as big. You're going to see the outdoor activations are going to be reduced and sort of that chaos. You're going to see the inside. You'll see people wearing, I think you're going to see a lot of people wearing masks, Gary. I just
San Diego's changed.
It's just, yeah.
It's like Anaheim is in Orange County. Orange County's still pretty red. San Diego, not so much. Not near downtown. It's been taken over. But North County's still pretty based, but not San Diego, not the home I used to love. I still root for the Padres though, who are doing really good, by the way. I'm secretly watching baseball again.
It's fun. I find it relaxing, except when any sort of God, there's just so many dumb controversies related to sports that I don't care about. Like, it has nothing to do with the game. It's like someone called someone a name that they thought was a bad
racist name. Tony La Russa's a fucking dipshit. He's always been a dipshit. I said it. Fuck Tony La Russa.
Or LeBron James, which my understanding is, I only see what's happening with LeBron James when Sports Wars does a video. But LeBron James is just so insufferable. He makes it. He's a distraction from the game. I just
he's been the worst thing for the NBA. Opinion. He's the opposite Michael Jordan. I think he's killed the league.
Exactly. It reminds me of a quote. You should look this up. Denzel Washington talking about voters, and he said, if you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. But if you do read the newspaper, you're misinformed.
Yep.
Yeah. It's such a great God, I love Denzel Washington.
I did. I even thought what he told Will Smith was really smart.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know what he got criticized for. It's like he was spot on. That is something we teach in recovery all the time. Most relapses happen during success and good times, not bad times. Not bad times, good times. That's what happened to me. I was riding high. My shop was doing great. Voted best of the Bay. Shop was filled every day. People were telling me how much they love me all the time. Oh, I'm awesome. Let's fuck it up and do a bunch of coke. Okay. Then a couple years later, no shop, and I was making $12.50 an hour at an O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and I was grateful to have it. Believe me. And I was still married, barely. Regardless of what her role is or how impactful it will be, Ingram revealed in an interview with The Independent that Lucasfilm trained her how to deal with the racist backlash towards her character ahead of the show's premiere. What was the training? Make sure to call them racist first. Is that training? Really? Is that what that goes on in Disney? Okay. And then I'm gonna offer a solution on how she could have been part of the solution and not part of the problem. But as often with these actresses, they are willing to be whatever they need Hollywood for them to be. It was something that Lucasfilm actually got in front of and said, this is a thing that unfortunately likely will happen, but we are here to help. Yeah, we are here to help you. You can let us know when it happens. Okay, so here's Lucasfilm getting out in front of something because they hired this black woman, and I promise you, this character in Kenobi was created as a black character. They didn't write it out like going, okay, we're going to find the best actress for the job. Nope. We are going to have a black actress in the Kenobi film so we can have black actress. Now, we'll try to integrate this character's story into the story to make it as seamless as possible. But our number one intention was to have black actress in black role in product. In a Kenobi show, which should just be about Kenobi. That's what it should be about, Kenobi. And I do like the fact of him being challenged and maybe the fact that he's called Ben Kenobi. And I'm sorry, forget the EU for just a moment and just think about the original trilogy. He was called Ben Kenobi. Why was he called Ben Kenobi? Did he renounce the Jedi? Did he have to do something to renounce the Jedi? Did he have to kill somebody? Maybe in a very questionable way to save Luke. I'm fine with that. That's fucking cool. And I think there's a book out there that a lot of people like, called Kenobi. I recommend you read that because a lot of very smart people have recommended that, like Stig Kenobi and Ryan Kinnell. They have recommended this book that you should read that instead. They're probably going to poach off it, but that this woman was hired literally as a shield. As a shield. So they want to prepare her for the racism when they hired her as a shield from criticism because we can't have too many white people in our thing, or it's a quota. So you're a shield or a quota, but you weren't hired like Mark Hamill was hired, like Alec Guinness was hired, like Billy D. Williams was hired. You were hired because you're
weird.
Black actress.
Even George Lucas, if you, I strongly recommend the Audible version of that book, The Secret History of Star Wars. He wanted Toshiro Mifune to play Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know, he wanted because he was supposed to be a samurai, which would have been great. He was looking, I don't know, that's what annoys me about these modern filmmakers. They think that these are all, virtue signal flexes, and it's almost like they have disdain for the audience. And cut the word almost. They have disdain for the audience, and it's very clear. And it's very distressing. Clear. How do you do that? You have to, if anything, I think George Lucas, up until maybe the prequels, the reaction of the prequels, loved the audience. And the audience loved him. And he was constantly thinking about the audience to the point that he consulted a psychiatrist of what is if Darth Vader is revealed to be Luke's father, how's that going to affect children? He cared that much. And what I don't understand is that there's not an effort by the people making programming, especially programming that appeals to children. How are young boys going to react to this? How are young boys going to react to being diminished constantly in programming? What sort of cumulative effect does that have? Right? I mean, I think, you know what we should be doing? We should be lifting up everybody, but we're going to specifically target a group to put down. And I mean, that She-Hulk trailer is just, forget effects aside, just looks fucking annoying. But I don't know. It'll give Ms. Marvel will give it a run for its money. I don't know.
I think Ms. Marvel is the most grateful that the She-Hulk and the Thor trailer came out, and everybody's just forgetting about Ms. Marvel because that is probably the best possible. You've seen the first 2 episodes. I know a lot about this series behind the scenes. Tons.
Yes.
Absolute tons. From birdies, little birdies. So we'll talk about, we'll get through the article. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. Sorry, Gary.
Yeah, it's okay. And then we're going to talk about my Rings of Power notes. I'm not going to tell you everything. There's not like I would say the smoking gun like cringe thing is Galadriel getting bullied in the fucking first scene. It's fucking retarded. But there's other like just rando stuff that's I'm sure is going to be much worse when we hear actual dialogue. Okay, but real quick. So Ingram also noted that Obi-Wan Kenobi director Deborah Chow has been putting the proper systems in place, so I feel safe as we work throughout production. Did everybody sign, like in the comic book industry, did everybody sign a pledge not to rape you? I hope they did. Of course, there is also pockets of hate, but I know I have no problem with the block button. That's fine. But here's why you're dumb. Here's why you're dumb, Miss Ingram. You could have been part of that change. You could have been part of the change. For one, you didn't have to talk about being trained in racism. If you're led that kind of question, like I've done a lot of training for my role, and I'm really looking forward to working in such an important show for a Lucasfilm for Kenobi. I'm so grateful that I was given this opportunity. I'm going to do the best job I can, and I hope I make all the fans happy. That is the only answer you need to give. For one, nobody really gives a fuck what actors say because most of it's rehearsed. It's all fake. It's all scripted anyway. And that's why Lucasfilm is responsible for this. That was a scripted response. That was part of her training, was to bring up the training, to make sure that Lucasfilm sets up right away that we have racist Star Wars fans. Go fuck yourself, Lucasfilm. You are not even worthy of my disdain. God, you are a piece of dog shit on the back of my shoe. You are such a garbage organization that deserves to burn at this point. They don't deserve your love. They don't deserve you. You should ignore it all. You should really stop watching this stuff. I know people are gonna. And you know what? You're guaranteeing more shit. Now, if you're looking at it to review it, roast it, that's your prerogative. That is your prerogative. I don't know what more damage they can do. I mean, like, Kenobi's already damaged. He risked his life and babysat a quitter. All for naught. He's already destroyed. Anakin is already destroyed. His sacrifice didn't mean shit because Palpatine just popped right back.
Yeah.
So it's already done. Like, I don't know what they're whipping out their detachable penises to piss on the corpse. Fine. Okay. What? I mean, and if it's good, he still babysat a quitter and sacrificed himself for a quitter. And Anakin's sacrifice was all for naught. I didn't write this shit. They did. They were subverting their expectations.
I just, it's really disheartening to come to the realization that we think more deeply about this stuff than the people making it. The people making it are not thinking this far ahead or this deeply about it. They're just thinking product. We need more product, make more product. And how it affects people's impressions of the previous work. I don't think that anybody's going to look back on any of these, these Disney Plus shows or this era of Marvel or even this era of Star Wars with the same kind of fondness of the original trilogy and even the prequels. As much as I was disappointed with them at the time, my impression of the prequels has changed, in particular with episode 1, which is more uses more practical effects and practical sets, and it became increasingly more digital and whatnot. But God, man, there are action sequences in episode 2 that are freaking awesome. I mean, that moment when the Jedi come into the arena is just like, I'd been waiting for that. That was the moment I was waiting for. That should have happened in episode 1, right? Like something like that. And I think the prequels have aged a lot better, in particular with our current political climate right now, about how a democracy slowly slides into authoritarian rule. It's not like it's not one thing. It's like a slow
I love the unintended consequences of calling out authoritarianism even 5 years ago, or what Star Trek, or even 2 years ago. And it turns out it was your guy, the guy you were dancing for. Yeah, it's fucking funny.
Yeah.
That part's funny. It sucks that we're all being oppressed, but that part's funny.
But it bugs me thinking that like we're going to look back on this era as like, oh yeah, do you remember that when a bunch of woke people like started working on stuff and it sucked? Yeah, then it lasted like years. Yeah, that was bad. We should never do that again.
Yep.
And I think that's
the problem is it's Hollywood is not coming out of the other side on this one whole. It's just not. It's going to be you're going to see your growth stop over time, and I'm not going to say it's going to die, but it will be less important. And I've made this analogy a bunch. There was a time when the music industry was probably it was the most influential, important industry by far.
Yeah.
Actors wanted to be rock stars. That's what everybody wanted to be. And then it just stopped because of the digital age. It wasn't really politics. It was greed, and not working. Like Napster basically changed the music industry forever. And now it's around, and there's still some really cool artists out there, but it's not influential at all.
No, but a weird question, and maybe this people in the chat, and also need to say hail to the chat.
Hail to the
Thank
chat.
you. Just love the chat. But a question is, has there ever been anything that is overtly woke that didn't succeed on the back of a pre-existing franchise? I can't think of one.
One thing that was overtly woke before?
No, some piece of
that succeeded. That succeeded.
A movie, TV show, whatever, that is considered a success, that didn't do that on the backs of a pre-existing popular and beloved franchise, whether it be Ghostbusters, whether it be Terminator, whether it be Star Wars, whether it be Star Trek. So anything, think of something that was just like sort of woke on its face and overtly woke, but was a success, but not affiliated with a franchise. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
The closest thing that what leftists will say is woke, but I will argue is not. And this is not based on an existing, is A Song of Ice and Fire. A Song of Ice and Fire has a lot of themes in it that the leftists would see as woke, and they're like, you're liking this woke thing, and we would argue we're liking this good story.
Right.
But it's not a woke thing. It's a good story. See, that's where really the heart of the argument lies. I'll just speak for myself. I'm not influenced by politics in a story. I'm influenced by a good story. I'm influenced to like it. And I don't, themes and shit. I'm willing to wrap my head around any theme if it's well told. About a girl in Orville. On the surface, if somebody described the episode to me, I would go, oh, but then I watched it, and it really was dealt with even-handed. And you have to know about the Mocklin, and they're an all-male race. Turns out they do have women, though, but they genetically get rid of them because they're an all-male race. They're not necessary, and they're considered less than and stuff. So that's been going on for years and years, and the Mocklin are kind of like the Klingons of the Orville. They piss every 27 years. That's why it's called Geologia. I think it's 27. It's been a minute since I watched.
Such a great episode.
And they piss off a cliff. Yeah. So they have a girl. They have a girl, and they're just going to give it a sex change into a boy. So what happens when they have the girls? They just turn them into boys. And the humans are like, no, you can't do that. And they're like, no, it's part of our traditions, part of our sovereignty. It's part of, so what they do is they argue both positions. It also gets into, weirdly, you can look at this as in property rights sense too. You can look at abortion in this, and they handle it pretty even-handedly. And what you consider the right side doesn't really win in the end. And that's what a science fiction episode is supposed to do.
Yes, it basically explores ideas without actually, berating or preaching to the audience.
No, it shows all the sides of the argument, and it gets it gets answered at the end. Highly recommend the episode. But if it was described to me, especially now, especially after all the woke shit, I'll be all fucking what the.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I've seen that episode. It's great. It's
yeah.
such a great episode.
So look at hey, like I'm really happy for Hayden Christensen. Okay, I like that's the good story in this. I'm really glad that he's getting love. And like I didn't like the prequels, and I still don't. I think Revenge of the Sith at the time when I saw it, I'm like, it's the best of the prequels. I would call it a good film. That's what the entire trilogy should have been. Otherwise, Phantom Menace, the lightsaber duel between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul is fucking epic. It's fucking epic. Absolutely epic. Little Annie flying around in a ship is dumb. It's just dumb.
True.
And Attack of the Clones, the battle between Yoda and Dooku, it's fucking epic. I don't care that he like drops the cane and starts bouncing around like a ball. I fucking loved it. I loved every second of it. And the battle in Revenge of the Sith between Yoda and the Emperor is epic. I love the battles. George is just a shitty storyteller. He's very good at concepts and ideas, and I think at one time when he was younger was a great director. Because American Graffiti is a great film, and Star Wars is a great film. But I think he's just way too. This has been said a million times. He's a better idea guy. He missed Gary Kurtz. He missed Lawrence Kasdan in his prime. He missed his ex-wife. He missed a lot of people. Okay, there was a lot of people involved in that success, and quite frankly, the best film, Empire, that was the one he was around the least. He was still around, but he was around the least during that one.
But I think the fatal flaw that George made is that, and he should know this. He knows this. It's not like he doesn't know this. Filmmaking is a team sport. It's a team sport. And he surrounded himself when he made the prequels by yes men. Oh. And that producer, what was his name? Rob McCallum.
Rick McCallum.
Rick McCallum, the guy just sort of kissed his ass. And my understanding is that they had some sort of falling out where he was just like, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you stop me from some of these bad decisions? Like
fucking George, you need to stop yourself for one. And Rick McCallum looked like a douchebag. He's like, okay, guys who have their collars up and sweaters tied around their fucking shoulders are douchebags.
Yeah, I know.
And they have pictures of them on yachts and shit. Yeah, they're fucking douchebags. And I got to meet this guy, face to face. For one, George, he was in the middle of work, and I get it, but he's kind of a dick.
Yeah,
he's kind of a dick. Yeah. That's fine. I got to go to Skywalker Ranch, and I got to meet Rick McCallum, and he just oozed Hollywood douchebag. That's what he was part of the problem, but. Like, nobody was going to tell George no. Who in the fuck was going to tell? He got rid of all those people. Gary Kurtz was very much alive during the prequels. He would have made them better.
There's an interview. I did an interview with him years ago where he talked about, what the prequels were supposed to be. And it was supposed to be set originally 25,000 years before the events in A New Hope and show the formation of the Jedi Knights. That was going to be the first movie. And then the last two movies were going to be Anakin and Obi-Wan and their relationship and this sort of dark path, more of like a Camelot story. Right. And it was great talking to him about what it would have been and what even the sequels were supposed to be, where like the ending of Revenge of the Jedi was supposed to end on kind of a little bit of a somber note, with Han Solo having died, sacrificing himself in the Millennium Falcon, with the coronation of Princess Leia as queen, of the galaxy or something like that, and then Luke going off to seek out the sister that he didn't know he had, and it was really going to set up another 3 movies that was going to be another adventure.
Now the Emperor was not in the end. I would have rather have gotten that ending. I mean, over what we have now.
Yeah.
I mean, if Han Solo's got to die, it needs to be in a Millennium Falcon that he actually piloted. I fucking hated that he wasn't in the fucking ship in Return of the Jedi. I hated that. I still hate
that was annoying, but I don't know, man. It just Return of the Jedi is such a compromise thing. Like,
It's
you can
half
read in that
brilliant.
book, The Secret History of Star Wars, what the original outline was supposed to be, and it's much better.
Oh, dude.
Same thing with like the Colin Trevorrow Episode 9, Duel of the Fates, would have been better. Who's making these decisions? And it's just like they want to go, no, let's do the shittier script.
Rick McCallum's of the world. I mean, like that's what I'm going to get his name wrong. I think George Cheeks, a board member at CBS, who looks like a guy named George Cheeks. He's got a fake baked tan. His teeth are perfectly white, not a hair out of place. And he's the guy who said when Alex Kurtzman walked into the office, I knew this was the man for the future of Star Trek. So I gave him an extension of $25 million. Might be the dumbest motherfucker alive. Could be. But I like to point that out because they escape guilt all the time as these fucking dumb fucking board members. We need to start making them famous.
Well, I will say in Rick McCallum's defense, you almost need a Hollywood douchebag to deal with Hollywood douchebags because think of the agents and managers he had to deal with to pull together the talent to make the prequels, right? He had to deal with all of the actors, representation.
Lord of the Rings was being filmed at the same time. Lord of the Rings was being filmed at the same time.
God, that's so weird.
Star Wars replacement as the greatest trilogy of all time. Yes, the Lord of the Rings trilogy is better than the OT. It is. Just is. It's not even debatable. I love Star Wars, the original trilogy. It formed, it made the nerd that sits here today. It was the Beatles of nerddom, but Lord of the Rings is better.
I agree.
Okay, so I'm subscribed to Star Wars here. I don't unsubscribe from people. A couple people I have, but most people I like. I listen to their videos and I like Star Wars theory. I think he's a nice guy. I saw him talking about the Acolyte. And he's trying to do it serious. And I know that's his channel. He's called Star Wars Theories. And he's talking
that sounds so bad. What is it even?
It was so weird hearing somebody say former Harvey Weinstein assistant Leslie Headland without leading with the former Harvey Weinstein assistant. And and he's trying to get all excited about it. And it takes place 100 years before Star Wars. And, we might. And I'm like, this is going to be so bad. It's gonna, So for those of you who are hopeful about the direction of Star Wars for the 17th time through Kenobi, they're still making the Acolyte with former Harvey Weinstein assistant Leslie Headland. That should tell you everything you need to know. They're not going to erase the Disney trilogy. Doctor Who is not going to erase the Timeless Children. Marvel isn't going to fix everything like they should with Secret Wars and just start over. This is it. Star Trek, for some reason, could fix it's the easiest to fix and go, different timeline. I've said that since word go. I said, if you say this is a different timeline, most of them, it'll still be shit. But I mean, you're not fucking with canon, so whatever.
God. Yeah, there's just so much of this stuff. I don't know. The first 2 episodes of Kenobi are Friday. Is that right?
Yeah, it's Friday.
Yeah.
It's Friday.
So Friday at this is dumb, at midnight Pacific time. It makes no sense.
The only thing I said I would talk about is when they ruin Kenobi. When they officially do it, I will talk about the news, but I'm not going to fucking review this thing. The poll was tight, I guess.
Well, the poll's 50-50. I think you got to round up, Gary. You got to review it because I love your reviews. You got to do it, man. Please.
It's got to be after I. No. I got something else that I promised.
6 are out. After all 6,
I got something I promised I'd review, and I'm going to deliver on that promise. That's what I'm working on.
Not an episode by episode. You know that Ryan Cannell is going to be. Well, he's going to grow his channel by a ton of more subs, but he's going to be going over every episode. I can't wait.
Oh, Ryan's killing it. He's at 140, 141.
Yeah.
Subscribe to Ryan Kinnell, RK Outpost, if you haven't. My good friend, Ryan Kinnell. I want to get him to 150. I think we should get him to 150. I mean, he's kind of slacked off. I think he's only made I don't know. I haven't been paying attention. I don't know how many videos
he's been traveling a lot. He's been traveling a lot.
But he still produces videos and unsolicited advice for my fellow content creators: travel with a camera and a microphone. All you need is a background. You want to take a vacation once in a while, but I would recommend having videos in the can before you do that, because you know what you're doing when you're on vacation? You're worried all the time in the back of your head that you're going to miss something.
Yeah.
So bring your shit with you, especially if you're like, I mean, I hate to use the term, if it's not a super high maintenance video, we'll say that. Like, it doesn't take editing, you're just sitting down and talking, which is in itself a talent, by the way. Then that's all you need. Make good audio. Shit, you don't even have to be on the camera. You don't really need to be on the camera in that little corner in the bottom. You could just put the article up. That's fine for a travel video. People will understand. But yeah, missing, I know I say this like missing so many nooners, but like missing scheduled live streams, I don't do it. I make sure I have a road kit that I take with me. And Friday Night Tights will be wherever I am. And it will be on Friday. I'd have to be really fucking sick, like really, really sick to miss Friday Night Tights.
I don't miss Friday Night Tights. It's
man.
I love that show. It's how I discovered so many people and continue to discover new people. You know, like Shadversity.
Shad is brilliant. We're gonna have him back. Great. I love that guy so much. He's
funny as hell too.
Yeah, he is. And as Ryan pointed out, like there is a audience for everything on YouTube if you can carve out your niche. I mean, this guy talks about armor, weaponry, and he's managed to work it into pop culture, but he can also do his other thing. It's great. It's great. And don't ever do your channel on one subject. I know a lot of people want to be. Don't be a Star Wars channel. Don't be a fucking Game of Thrones channel. Don't be a Lord of the Rings channel. Be a everything channel. Be like, cover your pop culture. But don't, because the franchises, man, they'll fuck you over. They will. Yeah. I mean, I almost feel sorry for the Game of Thrones channels. They're getting so excited for House of the Dragon. I'm like, Zaslav is there. These things cost $30 to $40 million an episode, and they're going to get Westworld type of ratings eventually. I mean, I think it'll pop pretty big, but once people start figuring out that there's no ice zombies, there's no likable Starks. Sure, there's a lot of dragons, but they're just fighting each other. It's more nihilism, and it's essentially, I mean, broadly speaking, the same plot as Game of Thrones, except without the ice zombies. King dies. 2 women are fighting for the throne through men.
Sounds like we've seen it before. I don't know.
And we have black Valerians now. It's fine. That was George. George has signed off on it. He's the creator, and them's the rules. Doesn't make any sense. And he went in and rewrote an entire book to make this guy like a Gary Sue. But maybe he'll be an interesting character. I don't know. I will be reviewing it. Yes, indeed.
Yep. Well,
all right.
I can't wait. I can't wait for your your Power of the Rings, Rings of Power. I don't know. I don't care about that show.
I know you don't. So I'll make this super quick.
Yeah.
All right. So I got a description of the first 2 episodes, right? And this is like it's a description from somebody who has seen it. I can submit questions sometimes. Sometimes they get answered. Sometimes they don't. I'm appreciative for anything I get. I am not really particularly out to spoil anything plot wise, like for like anything huge. So I'm not going to come out and spoil like who the villain is or any, because I honestly don't know right now. But I want to give you an idea what the tone is going to be like what we're going to get. So I've already told you that you're going to see Galadriel getting bullied. It turns out, okay, so her brother, we don't know if the brother's alive. I don't know. The term that was used was marked by Sauron. Now, we know Galadriel had 3 brothers. 2 of them died in the War of Wrath. Morgoth killed them, and the other one died saving Beren from a werewolf, which again, like I would love to see like an elf fight a werewolf with bare hands. That'd be fucking awesome. Instead, Chris,
No.
we're going to see Galadriel swimming.
Okay.
She takes a long, leisurely swim. I don't know if this is a weird variation on the flight of the Noldor, where she escapes to Middle Earth because she wants to rule. She does want to rule. She has ambition. She's not a see you next Tuesday, but she has ambition. And she was part of the rebellion, the first elf on elf slaying. Again, I don't know if this is a flashback from the first age. It looks like, they compress 300 years into a 9-minute thing. And that's compressed 300 years. That should be 3,000. So they're taking a 3,000-year timeline and then squeezing it into a 300-year timeline and then squeezing it even more and inventing, I'm not kidding, folks, a lot of new characters. So this is a bad reboot, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, vanity project production wearing a fucking Tolkien skin suit. I mean, it's going to be bad on so many levels. They're going to try to repurpose dialogue, actual dialogue from the books. So they're repurposing it into this story from the story that happens afterwards, by the way. So you're going to see like Frodo or Bilbo or Aragorn, their language will be, or Gandalf will be repurposed and used by their predecessors who are going to be much better. Like, go on.
Well, no, am I going to be, first of all, I've heard you talk about this a lot. I'm already, first of all, the impression is this is generic fantasy show with the skin of Lord of the Rings on it, or the branding, let's say. And to me, it also, I'm going to be completely confused because it doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel like it's like I'm familiar with, and like I say, my familiarity is with the movies Lord of the Rings, right? And The Hobbit, at least knowing the story because of the animation and the Peter Jackson. Would have been a better like one movie, I think, but maybe 1 3-hour movie, but whatever. And I just think I'm going to be completely confused. I don't know if you saw that quote. Did you see that quote from Viggo Mortensen, like talking about?
Yeah. I'm probably going to do a video on that, but yes.
Okay, good. Because it was hilarious. He just seemed like very dismissive, like, but not overtly, just sort of like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I watched that or something. It was like, the quote was great. Yeah, you should do a video on it.
He won't.
Yeah. I feel like how Viggo feels. I mean, like, look, we already got the really great Lord of the Rings. It already exists. I can watch it again. I have my extended Blu-rays, those sort of book sets, which are great. And I don't know that unless this directly connects to it, it seems like it's such a veiled connection to those characters. It does have the possibility, again, like a lot of this stuff does, like whether it's Strange New Worlds or whether it's the Star Wars sequel, it sort of ruins the thing we already love.
Yes. And there's more. So the person who falls from the sky in front of Nori Brandyfoot is a person who literally falls from the sky. That's what happens. He literally falls down from the sky. It is a wizard who speaks with like using, it was described as dragonflies to make constellations. Don't know what that's about.
That sounds terrible.
It sounds fucking stupid. Elrond in the first episode goes to Eregion. So we're talking about the forging of the rings. Celebrimbor is there. But they need, I believe it's the rings forged. This was described to me kind of weird. So I'm just going to say they need something fast. I believe it's the rings. I don't know why Elrond would need the rings of power because he didn't come up with that shit. But whatever. I think it was like a lost in translation. But he talks to Durin the Fourth. And his wife is, I forgot her name now. The black elf, the black dwarf. It's his wife. That creates, I mean, like, there's some descendants that would create a problem for. We'll just say that. And it was described to me as the actress. I don't know why I don't know why the person said this, but it has an orange is the new black vibe. And I'm like, that's not really good for Rings of Power. But I do believe one of the Orange is the New Black writers is working on this along with the Better Call Saul writer. So that would make sense. That's fucking terrible. Okay, so Galadriel. There's one big one I'm leaving out for the video. One big one.
Nice.
This is just the light, like, live stream shit. It's not going to be earth-shattering or anything. Galadriel, instead of, like, I don't know, they show her in the Frostfangs. I'll just say a thing happens, and it's not Numenor, where she's in the middle of ocean, no ships or anything, and she just starts leisurely swimming. Like elves do get tired. Okay. And if they didn't need boats, then they wouldn't make them. All right. They're comfortable in water. They can swim longer, but she is in the middle of fucking nowhere, and she happens to run across a raft in the middle of the ocean. Just one of those random meetings. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of really contrived random meetings, tons of exposition. I'm told there's a lot of sitting down, blah, 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 blah. Which is a staple of bad reboot, by the way. This is what they do. Now, this is not technically a bad reboot production, as people go, excuse me, Mr. Bad Bearded Man. This isn't a bad reboot production. It's an Amazon production. Yeah, with a bunch of bad reboot people working for them, including the producer and the showrunners. So technically it's not, but it is. And it's starting to sound like story contrivances, no shits to give about characterization, continuity, distance, time, important things, verisimilitude. It's just a bunch of keys to jangle in your face. And I don't know, like, how many keys you need to jangle. I think what they did is people don't know that much about Lord of the Rings, so we can make up a bunch of characters and nobody's going to give a shit. Sure, a couple other people, but who reads? I'm sure one of these assholes said, who reads books anymore? And they might be kind of right about that, but I do. So Galadriel, who's just swimming, doing backstrokes out there in the middle of the ocean, she runs across our human character, Halbrand, who lost his village. And she gave him a little pep talk. And he lost his village to orcs. And she said she will get revenge for him when she goes slaying them orcs. Because, yes, Galadriel goes out orc slaying, which is just fucking retarded. And then they wash up on a beach. The Black Elf with Bronwyn. I guess it's insinuated that the Sylvan Black Elf, I forgot his name, Theo is their love child. Husband's gone, so that's just the theory. We're not sure. We're not sure. That's just the theory that was given to me by this person. This person also said everything's really predictable, kind of boring. There's some cringe dialogue. And Bronwyn, our young lass who has the forbidden love, the not guess who's coming to second breakfast, kills an orc by herself in the beginning. That's not something like, of course she did. With that broken sword, which is supposed to be a big mystery.
Gary, you lost me when you started talking about this in terms of my level of caring about the show. Not that I didn't understand everything you said. I'm just like, I don't. And that's the thing is like, and still, we've seen the one teaser. Do you think they're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con with any presents? Do you think they'll have some outdoor activation? Will there be people like handing out Rings of Power keychains? or some, they do like really dumb. And Amazon has been pretty aggressive about being at San Diego Comic-Con in terms of the outdoor activations.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
With Expanse and stuff. Yes.
Yeah. So they've been there. So they will be promoting it there. So if you decide not to go into the convention hall, which I understand, you're definitely going to be bombarded with it, whether you want to or not. Like the side of the Marriott Marina is going to be just all rings of power. You know how they do those things that like cover one side of a hotel? So you'll have that.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to not see it. I wonder if they're holding out until Comic-Con to debut a more story-based trailer.
I think One Ring said they're doing a panel there. OneRing.net is doing a panel.
Well, One Ring is doing a panel, but are they doing a panel? It'll be a Hall H panel.
That's interesting. Well, I mean, I was surprised to hear they're going to announce Fantastic Four at Comic-Con. I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah, they said it. They're going to introduce the cast.
They're going to introduce the cast because I just don't. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there will be a ton of people there who don't give a shit about masks.
I don't know. Like it's weird. And then how do you enforce it? And then you get, I've never been confronted by anybody.
There are dicks there.
I don't know why I haven't been.
Security is dicks there. I got pulled into the office for jumping a fucking rope.
Oh God.
Like this fucking, that some dude, I don't know. Maybe somebody pissed in his cornflakes, but I jumped a rope. He grabs me, dude, and like throws me in the office, and I like turn on him. I was about to fucking sock him right in his fucking mouth. I'd lost my shit. And luckily, my kid was there. So I'm like, oh. And I turned around, and like the guy's supervisor said, I'm really sorry about that. Please don't get mad at that this guy putting his hands on you. And he made the guy apologize to me. And then I think he made him work out back or whatever. I was like, I was fine. Dude, bit my tongue. But I was going to knock that fucker out.
I can't believe we're still doing this mask thing now. Like, we're still doing it? Like,
yes, they're going to do it as long as they can. And monkeypox is a coming. Maybe we'll get monkey COVIDs or COVID monkeys.
It really like, I don't know. I'm just annoyed at all this stuff.
Yeah. So I'm going to get into some super chats and then I got to wrap it up. But I know you've been here a long time. I'm going to give you a chance.
We're having fun.
Okay.
We're having fun.
All right.
Love it.
So yeah, the big thing about, I don't have a definitive answer yet, or I'd tell you guys right now. But I might soon. But create the creative decisions here. It's like when you see the trailer. It's like when you see the Thor trailer, for example. The Thor trailer makes a point to tell you that Thor is a cuck. That's it. They go, wow, let's knock Thor down, knock Thor down, knock Thor down, knock Thor down. Instead of like showing Thor doing something fucking badass, like punching a bad guy or something like that. This one's about Jane and how awesome Jane is. And Jane gets the fucking, and it's like, wow. And Taika Waititi says it's about his midlife crisis. And like, I didn't hate Ragnarok, but I didn't like it. And I definitely didn't like what it set up. Right. I still think like Cate Blanchett was like really fucking cool. Hala, like perfect. She's great. But it was it was a cartoon. It was a cartoon. And I know everybody like, I would rather watch Dark World. And by the way, I would say recommend watching Dark World because the fucking trailer contradicts it tonally anyway, as far as
tonally they're like two different movies. Yeah. It's like, I mean, I really think that they decided to shift like, hey, we got to make Thor more lighthearted, right? And I actually like the aspects of it, the tone that when it becomes sort of like Flash Gordon, I love that because I love that movie, the Flash Gordon movie. So
I love
when
it
Ragnarok
too.
Does that, I'm into it. So, but this whole thing of like,
do that with Guardians of the Galaxy where it works more. That's more of a Flash Gordon thing. With Thor, lean into the gods and the Kirby source material.
They had their chance.
Dive into it, swim around in it, like juggle the Kirby crackle, like make sweet love to the Kirby that you have as source material instead of we'll just do a costume here and there. You fucking morons. They're so dumb. They're so dumb. And Kevin Feige was never a Marvel fan. Fuck that guy.
Well, Ms. Marvel is a Kevin Feige production, as you can see in the credits.
So, real quick, give me a general assessment of the first 2 episodes that you saw.
All right. General assessment of it. It's a kid's show. It's exactly what you see in the trailers. It is a children's show. She is in high school, and a lot of the, I'd say that a majority of the effects budget went to this sort of, in her head, she's like a Captain Marvel super fan.
Yep.
And Kamala Khan's this Captain Marvel super fan who loves Captain Marvel. She wants to go to Avengers Con, and she has trouble with her parents. It's really a Muslim family, like just showing Muslims are just like everyday Americans. They want the same things. When it gets deep into the Muslim community, which is fine. It's like this family story. And by the way, she happens to be a superhero. And it just seems like a show for little kids. It's not for, she's high school age, but I really think that the show is targeting a even younger audience. And a lot of the events that happen, 2 things are like really inconsequential things, like people falling, right? And she has to save them, and she uses her power, and it's even worse than you think. I was talking to you, Gary, before the stream started, and I referenced, no one is going to remember this but you and I, but the old Shazam show from the 70s is what it felt like. It's just, oh, someone's having a problem. I'll solve that problem with my light power. And one thing, oh my God, one thing that happens, it's so dumb. So she has her power, and it doesn't look good. I don't think that they spent enough time kind of like doing tests or whatever. Like, does this work? And then what are the rules? Even she doesn't know the rules. In the first 2 episodes, they haven't really like worked out like, well, how does this power work? She hasn't really figured out how to harness it. And I'm okay with that. It's fine. But it just doesn't look good. It looks like a Sid and Marty Krofft show. It looks cheap. And then it's just bad. And they call her, I don't know if this is not a spoiler. It's stupid. They call her Nightlight. They don't even call her Ms. Marvel. They don't know what to call her because she kind of shows up. She has the mask on and then disappears. And they call the character Nightlight. Like, it's a lot of cringe, a lot of laughable, but a lot of things that are just sort of laughably bad. Mm-hmm. But it's not due in part to I feel like they put a lot into this, like sort of her head, which is she's an illustrator and she's doing like these crude little, cartoon drawings. They put so much effort into that and so much effort into the whole high school world. You've got a lot of dynamic camera angles that sort of put you in her head and how she feels. And all of that kind of works, but it's the superhero thing. Like, why are they making this? It's like the superhero story was grafted onto this. This might as well just be a situation. It's a drama comedy about a Muslim family in New Jersey. That's what the show is. And if you want to watch that show, that's the part that they almost succeed at. But then she also has to be a superhero, and it just so doesn't work at every level. I don't know how she's going to be integrated into the movie.
Ooh, yeah, dude.
It's just and changing her power is just, it's so, I don't know. Like, obviously they thought, well, we'll save that for Reed Richards because they have a very similar power. I don't know why they changed it. What was the reason for changing?
Kevin Feige's decision.
It was a dumb decision.
It was 100% Kevin Feige's decision because he didn't like how the power looked, which is probably going to be a problem for Mr. Fantastic. And again, if whoever takes over Fantastic Four, just watch. You know what? It should Brad Bird. Brad Bird should direct the Fantastic Four.
Right. Well, just read the first 100 issues of the Fantastic Four.
Yes, and then watch The Incredibles, and exactly how they do Elastigirl is how you do Mr. Fantastic. Okay.
And I mean, that's the whole thing is like, I just feel like they're so creative in the comics. And we saw, of course, Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Strange too. And just, they didn't creatively use his powers, and that was just so cool, would be to like open up an old issue of the Fantastic Four and see Reed Richards stretching across the room to grab some beaker, or his arm wrapped around some giant contraption where he's got pedals and he's sort of like he's got his face inside something, he's looking, and you're like, what the hell is this giant machine that takes up a room?
Hey,
you know what I mean? Like, and there's no explanation.
That's
He's
the
just doing
Kirby.
some Reed experiment.
That's the Kirby.
Yeah.
There should be like Dr. Manhattan. Actually, the closest they got is Dr. Manhattan in Zack Snyder's Watchmen, when he's putting together all that machinery. That's fucking Fantastic Four. That shit is awesome. And
that's Reed Richards, man. It's just
Reed.
they never got it right. But like, I feel like it would have been. I'm gonna guess that maybe they did some tests and Feige didn't like it. But really, I feel like they've gone. It's very clear to me with the Disney Plus shows is they're low budget. They're low budget shows, and I think that they've just decided they've decided definitely with Ms. Marvel, this is for kids. This is a show for kids.
So real quick, the Negabands, they aren't going to call them that. So those are Captain Marvel's, the male one. Okay, those were the bands that he got. He was awarded by the Kree Empire, and they immediately trapped him in the negative zone. So basically, he could trade with Rick Jones. Rick Jones is somebody who I can't believe the MCU has not brought in Rick Jones. Like, Rick Jones is associated with the Hulk, associated with Cap, associated with Captain Marvel. He is Captain Marvel. He's like Billy Batson, right? So he hits his nega bands. I always want to say mega bands. You got to be very careful when you say nega bands.
Right.
And then he traded places with Captain Marvel in the negative zone. So he couldn't get out. So they would just trade places for a little while. Just like Donald Blake will become Thor. You know, it's just all rip off everything else. But Captain Marvel was a really important and good character that they've completely fucked up. They didn't and they didn't even use for Brie Larson's Captain Marvel like any of his storylines. Like, dude, like his run, the Starlin run, the book does get canceled, but it had moments of absolute greatness, like some of the best shit you've ever read, best art you've ever seen. It introduced the whole Thanos storyline. And yes, I call him Thanos, not Thanos, because there's one N, and because that's what I've called him since I was fucking 4. So deal with it. It should be, if it's Thanos, then it should be 2 N's. And if I'm correcting anybody on English, crazy. Crazy.
So Ms. Marvel, it's exactly what you see in the trailers, which I think got a very lukewarm reception. I've seen the first 2 episodes.
She just finds the bands, right? She just gets them in a box.
Oh, yeah. So the way she gets her powers is her mom gets a box in the mail from Nana, and that's it. She uses it as flair for her costume. She kind of steals it, puts it, so she puts on the bands, and that's it. She has this power that she doesn't know how to control. And that's it. It's not like, to me, what's so interesting about, in particular, like Captain America, Steve Rogers, he was Captain America before he got the power, because he had the heart of a true hero, jumping on that grenade.
Yes.
Or just saying, hey, I could do this all day. And of course that was stolen by Captain
Steve
Carter.
Rogers is Captain America. He's the only Captain America. Everybody else is a derivative. Deal with it. Because he's the actual hero under the mask, no matter how much Marvel wants to vandalize him and minimize him. It's just a fact. Everybody else is just a fucking derivative. And they haven't been able to pull it off with Captain Marvel, which, like, not that many people know about Captain Marvel. But like, look, they make fun of their own costume. Like your boy Zach from Diversity in Comics had the best description of Captain Marvel. It looks like a superhero, a generic superhero that you would see on the side of a plumbing van. He's fucking right.
It's so true.
Yeah. It's just a nothing character but there was something behind that character when she was Miss Marvel. People liked Miss Marvel quite a bit. She was she's part of some really important stories. Unfortunately, she's a victim in one of the greatest stories. But they're not going to do anything with it. With this young lady, like that's the part that sucks, is like, I'm reviewing this stuff, and this is we're talking a 15-year-old girl who took this part. I mean, she's probably not going to see my reviews. If I review it, don't really care. I just don't like,
She's fine. She's not the weak link.
I felt that way
It's
about
the
America
script.
Chavez too. So
She's fine. I mean, these actors are, they're freelancers, right? So
Yep.
she came in, she did the job. She did the best she could with what she had. I don't think she elevates it or makes it better, but the script is just so weak. It really is that script.
Here we go.
Lazy.
We go. I just
no.
you were talking. I went to Twitter and it says critics are talking about Miss Marvel. Okay.
No.
Before you guys get started, and I think Chris, we always thank you for being honest. I
appreciate it.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you. If all, if there were more people in Hollywood like you and Tom Constantino and a couple of others, we wouldn't have a problem. Unfortunately, we don't. So the critics are pouring, reviews are pouring in. Let's see if they love it, because I want you to remember this one particular, folks. Remember this one. And I told you that sometime in the future, I'm going to drop some info like a nuclear bomb that's going to really just make the shills look really, really bad. And I can't wait. I wish I could tell you right now. Just remember, keep that in your mind. Because maybe some will be honest. Maybe some will be honest. Well, how do I know it's bad? I haven't seen it. I know it's bad. I've seen the first episode of Miss Marvel, spoil free. I love this show. It's everything I could have wanted. It says a lot about a girl, Kamala Khan. Our girl, Kamala Khan, but I literally never felt so seen. But like me specifically, I'm in Valeni as a delight. Put her in everything. So Preeti Shibber has not felt seen in a movie until now. Do you know what, Chris? You know where I have never been seen?
Where?
In a movie, because I've never been in one.
I don't know. I think people put too much emphasis on that. I'm looking at this thing on Twitter too. It's just wildly over the top positive. Let me bring you down to reality. It's I don't know. It's kind of meh.
Let's go to hang on, MCU Direct. There's our boy Jack McBrien, who went after me on Twitter.
Why?
Because he doesn't like my opinions. I want to read his bio, unless he's changed it. Ryan pointed this out. MCU Direct. Fuck. God, they're not even. What a shitty website. Give me just a moment. MC. Oh, okay. I had it right. I'm just dumb. I'm going to read Jack O'Brien. There he is. Jack O'Brien. Okay. So this guy went after me on Twitter, which is fine. He can do that. Let's see. What did he say? I should probably just get back to what he said. Iman is fantastic. She's relatable, likable, funny, everything you want in Kamala. Jersey City feels alive in a way that no other location in the MCU has been. Has life similar to New York City in Raimi's Spider-Man movies. Oh my God. I was about to say, there's certain things I'm just not going to say in front of Chris. Chris, I mean, I could. Because actually, you know what? I probably could say it in front of you after you roasted Lofty the way you did. That was pretty good. But I could say that this guy's choking on Marvel's cum right now, because that is fucking crazy. Jack is a co-founder of the Direct, starting the company with Brian, blah, blah, blah. Despite this love for the MCU, Jack has not read many Marvel comics. He has not read many Marvel comics. That's pretty obvious.
But I think that there are a lot of fans who are,
I think that's the majority. It's the majority now. But
yeah, I mean, that's really Comic-Con like blew up. That's where Comic-Con began to reach critical mass, and where people were fans of the movies, the MCU movies, but had never read a comic. And I'm okay with that. That's fine. That's fine. But for those of us that have been reading them since we were kids and know certain runs and whatnot, there's just it's really bizarre to me. They're leaning into so many characters that are just these. We're not even talking about B-list characters. We're talking about C-list characters, or characters that never really had like a big following. I mean, I'm scanning through the wildly over the top positive Ms. Marvel stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. Did we watch the same show? It just seems like, demographically speaking, this is for little kids. It's for little kids wondering what high school will be like, and it's fine for that, I guess. But like I say, it's I don't know. It's a show for little kids.
I love it. It says, despite this love of the MCU, Jack has not read many comics. Jack is an avid reader. By the way, I guess John, Jack, whatever. But let's see if I can find what this fuck said. I mean, this guy said. Show it or not. No, I can't find it. I'm not going to search for it now. I can't even remember what he said. It was dumb. All right, so we're going to, Miss Marvel, don't think it's going to be good. Not surprised that they're burying it. It's coming out, a week after Kenobi premieres.
Mm-hmm.
And Az is going to review Miss Marvel.
Well, with Batwoman being canceled, he needs a new Batwoman. I can't believe he's really going to do it. I can't wait. Yeah. Okay, for that alone,
there's like I'm doing a Thor reaction video that'll come out hopefully tomorrow or next day at the latest, and then I'm working on my review, and like whatever news pops up, I'll do that. But the review I'm working on is going to take. Perry's going to be very, very busy. Very busy. All right, so let's read some soups and get out of here because I got to go, and so do you. But we got Samwise donates for $1.99. Thank you, Samwise. Thank you, Samwise. Oh, you're going to be mad about Rings of Power, about one particular thing. I knew it. The mods will be happy to tell you how horrible you are if it keeps you sober. Eric K. I'm fine. I know how horrible I am, so it's okay. It'll keep me sober. I would if I thought my sobriety was in trouble, I would quit this channel in a second. Sobriety is more important. So we go to Soren Torden for $5, all while I was praising Black Widow up to her solo, Wanda up to WandaVision, and Gamora and Nebula, all characters I liked, all up until that point, clamoring for Storm, Elektra, Rogue, Mystique, Moondragon, and Jessica Jones. He also pointed out that Miss Marvel was breaking comic sales records. So tiresome. Oh, that's part 2. Hey, Gary, Chris, after I recently criticized Mom, which is Multiverse of Madness, and the entire phase bore on Facebook, one of the stands PM'd me. I like that better. Was asking why I was so hateful in general, to ask him why he was so happy a man kept obsessing over being angered by women. And this is Soren Torden. So, and then you shot back, hey, I like all these characters. And like, that's what they want you to do. Like, how long have you beat your wife? When did you start hitting your wife? I mean, like, you have to go, I never hit my wife, but you have to answer it. And I would just answer their question with a question. What are your top 5 favorite things in Multiverse of Madness? Why do you like it? Why don't you make, Mahler makes big, long videos on why exactly he doesn't like anything. He doesn't leave a I undotted or a T uncrossed. Why don't you? Some people have tried that with The Last Jedi, Chris, and they end up getting roasted like on EFAP pretty hard. But people have tried, and maybe it's convincing. I have no doubt there are people who like The Last Jedi, because I think there's Eric brings this up a lot, and it's great because this is an argument I used to bring up, and if anybody who used to shop my comic shop knows, because they've heard this argument a lot. Besides being like tired of the nihilism, I also said that I think people like the idea of comics, but they don't love comics. I think that's what happens to a lot of comic fans when they finally grow out of it, burn out. They love the idea of it, but they don't really love it. Most creators now love the idea of it, or maybe even just kind of like it, but they don't like it. That's the biggest change now is there's a lot of comic artists through thick or thin just fucking loved it. George Perez, John Byrne. These are people like Roy Thomas. These are people who loved comic books, didn't want to go anywhere else, just wanted to be in comic books. They were where they wanted to be. A lot of YouTubers are like that too. They want to be something else. I say be what you're good at. But yeah, it's and now we're filled with a fandom that likes the idea of comic books and comic book superheroes, but they don't really like them. And it's more of a FOMO thing. And once Marvel is not the toast of the town, which they're not anymore, they're just not. What you're seeing is the leftovers. Unless they do a drastic change, which is, I guess, is not out of the realm of possibility. They come out and do like a proper Fantastic Four movie. It would shock me. It would utterly shock me.
I don't think they're capable of it now. When you look at the output of Marvel in Phase 4, when you look at something like all the Marvel Disney Plus series, I have no faith that the Fantastic Four will be true to the spirit of, the original comic. I feel like I'm never going to get to see that on screen. It's been like, and for me, like I've said, it's my gateway comic. It's everything from the Roger Corman, Fantastic Four, which, by the way, I just got on Blu-ray for $10. I posted about it on Twitter and on Instagram.
Yeah. I bought one. Hopefully, it's
for $10. It's the Blu-ray of it with a commentary track. It's the best I've ever seen it look. But I've had like VHS copies of it for a while. But it's like I would read the Fantastic Four comic and think they'll never make a movie of this. It's impossible. The effects, just like everything. I think now it's possible with the special effects to make the Fantastic Four. You can do it.
Absolutely. And like,
you
don't do it like fucking Ragnarok or like you did Doctor Strange, man. Take 3 years. Take 3 years minimum. Make the right movie. And it has to start out as a period piece. And it's like, it's the easiest story to tell. They were in the negative zone. They discovered the negative zone. That's what gives them their powers. You can change it from cosmic rays. And I would prefer you kept their fucking full origin, but just mix in the negative zone. And they've only been gone for like an hour, and they come back, and it's later.
Yeah.
I think you could have some fun with that. I think you really could.
I always saw it as better as a television series like Doctor Who.
Yes.
Right. There's so many great Fantastic Four villains. You have guest spots from characters like Spider-Man and She-Hulk. And, the Marvel Universe was built on the backs of the Fantastic Four. And not a lot of people know that. It's the first family of Marvel. It's been called that. And Reed Richards was really based on Stan Lee. And I'm really curious to see what they do with the casting. My feeling is...
I like how Collider called the thing a Stanley Steve Ditko creation yesterday.
Wait, what?
Collider in an article called called The Thing, a Stan Lee, Steve Ditko creation. Clobbering Time. My boy Clobbering Time, who fucking loves The Thing, blasted him, and I saw that, and I'm like, what the?
Yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of so-called experts in that stuff. I mean, I don't claim to know everything, but well, I don't know. We'll see.
We got WG. And I know you love the FF. I love the FF. I like they like most hardcore comic book Marvel fans love the Fantastic Four. That's like, they're not always the most popular, but they're the most comic book. And outside of Spider-Man, that's what I associate Marvel with, is the Fantastic Four. And when I grew up, when I was a kid, they were huge. And I like the innocence of them. And and it's also that, to me, that was Kirby at his absolute best, was that Fantastic Four run, and then Thor. That was just, so good. WG for $100. It's great work, Gary. Here's to your next burrito. Oh my God. It's the first thing I'm doing when I get out there, Chris. I'm actually,
you got to get a burrito.
I'm going to swing through Oceanside and hit the Juanita, or the Roberto's that's in Oceanside. So I get a proper, before I even go to LA. Yes, I'm going to drive like 100 miles out of the way to get one.
Do it.
We got Man of War 665, the neighbor of the beast, for 2 super chats for 665. Took my uncle, who originally took me in 1979 to see Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Director's cut Sunday night was brilliant and beautiful. If you could catch tonight's remaining Fathom event screening, you owe it to yourself. Do it. If I can get my video recorded. Part 2, he says, I have also booked the 40th anniversary Wrath of Khan director's cut out Labor Day weekend as well for that I'll go to, as well as for the 40th anniversary of The Thing. I'll go to that too. Reject modernity, embrace tradition, and pulp heroism. Absolutely. We're in the words of Razor Fist. Razor Fist, his videos I watch the most, like, on demand, because I'm always watching his Mythos stuff, like always, and like over and over again. I like his Elric stuff. He got me. I fucking love Elric now, dude. It's the greatest thing. I don't know if you've read it, but but like Michael Moorcock's Elric was the precursor to so much of what Tolkien is to fantasy, Moorcock is to dark fantasy, the more metal aspects of it. It's fucking cool. It's fucking cool. It's got, it borrowed from Conan, of course. Conan, I mean, in tone and, speaking of which, I've always wanted to read these. I just never got around to it. It's not called Conan, right? But it is Conan. This is word for word Robert E. Howard.
Nice.
It's so fucking cool. So there's, I got 3 volumes for pretty cheap on, I hate to say it, Amazon. You probably get it cheaper somewhere else. Order it from your local comic shop. That's what I do. Highly recommend. I went through the first one. I fucking love it. Inakmaman for $5. Saw Top Gun 2 last night with my old man. We both loved it. This is how they do it. Revere your legacy characters. Don't tear them down. Speaking of Disney, there's a homepage to Star Wars. There's a homepage to Star Wars. The end that felt more like Star Wars than anything Disney has done. There's an homage. Okay. I'm like, homepage. Oh, homage. So there's an homage to Star Wars in Top Gun 2.
I don't want to ruin too much, but there is it's definitely, there's something related to Star Wars that you're going to get that isn't necessarily called out, but it's like, it's really freaking cool. I just you'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not, I mean, I don't want to say. So
Daniel for $50. Thank you. And I agree. As a matter of fact, I will gift Chris Gore the unabridged He said Chris Gore should listen to the unabridged audiobooks of Lord of the Rings read by Robert Inglis. It's your nerd duty to bully him into it, Gary, and make sure he listens to the right version and narrator. I will say Andy Serkis did a good job redoing it. He did a good job redoing it, but no, you need to listen. I will gift them to you. Do you have an Audible, sir?
I do have an Audible.
Okay, I'm going to gift you unabridged Lord of the Rings. Yeah. I'm also going to give you the BBC radio show from 1981, which is quite frankly the best radio show I've ever heard. I listened. I have The Shadow. I have Superman. I love the old radio serials. The Star Wars radio show is fucking fantastic. It adds a bunch of stuff from the novel and the stuff that was cut out of Star Wars. George Lucas gifted it to USC. They played it on PBS, and that's how I discovered Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is like my second favorite radio show. But Lord of the Rings, BBC with Ian Holm, so good. But I will gift those to you tonight.
Love it.
I'll give you a year to listen to them. I'll give you a year. And they're good to go to sleep to. You just knock off a little bit. You like your spirits.
Drives. I like to go on long drives to Vegas. I'm sure I can listen to it.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Daniel. I used to have the BBC radio series on my website hidden, and I would just send people the link so they can listen to it, but I was afraid I was going to get in trouble. Once the channel got a little, because that was when the channel had 3,000 subs. I'm like, just give it to a few people. And then I'm like, I could probably get in trouble for this, so I shouldn't do that. For $20 on the super chat side, Zanamaru. Oh no, sorry, Zanamaru. Oh, it's a cool name. $20. Thank you. Hey guys, love the show. You are spot on about this being an attack on masculinity and fatherhood. That is correct. I wrote a podcast where we talk about this and would like to have you on someday. Oh, what's the best way to contact you? Contact me at Gary@nerdrotic.com, and you will get a response from either Mrs. Nerdrotic. I would say contact X-Ray Girl as well on Twitter, and I'd be happy to come on. I was on a show called Hack. Eric K., if you're still out there, could you put the link in the description? I forgot to share that out. I'll share it out on Twitter today. And a couple guys out of Utah. I had a good time with them. It was fun. But yeah, just if I can fit it in. Oh boy, that sounded bad. You're gonna clip it. I don't care how big your channel is. That doesn't make any difference. If I can fit in the schedule, I'll go on. I'll go on. I don't really get asked that much. Lee Kindler, thank you for the $19.99 donation. Nothing to say, but thank you very much. A Kenobi review may persuade people to cancel D+. Says double back again for $2. Yeah, I've already gotten emails. You guys are awesome. I'll listen to the audience. I will mull it over, but I owe you another review first, and that's happening first. I'm not saying I'm doing it. I'm saying if it happens. FYI, RRR showing in San Antonio June 1st. Hail all. When is what day? What's the day? That's Wednesday. So if I see it right after I do a live stream with Chris Gore, I can do that. I can definitely do that. 109 Swedish krona from some Norwegian guy. Very hot take. I love Star Wars, OT and PT, but honestly, I think the universe and the lore is better than the movies themselves. There would have been a time where you said that, and I'm like, you are fucking crazy. But the more I know about the EU, because my EU knowledge was pretty much comic books and Zon. But you might be right. The thing that they canceled was the best thing, because my favorite thing about Lord of the Rings is the lore and the world building. My favorite thing about A Song of Ice and Fire is the lore and the world building, especially Elric, which is it's got some cool shit in it. You might be right. Would you want to chat with an extra from Game of Thrones? Asked John J. M28 for £2 British. Yes. Gary at nerdrotic.com. Love your channel. Great work. Thank you. And thank you, Dimitri65. Video Game Closet for $4.99. Star Wars sucks because of racism. The new Coke sucked because of racism too. Yes, actually it did. Ishtar and Cutthroat Island all flopped because it sucked, not because of racism. Yes. And Heaven's Gate. Do you think it was racism and Heaven's? Well, yeah. No. All right. All right, we're going to wrap it up. There's a couple more here. King James II, here's a down payment on all the laughs and the other FNT members have given me. I like to thank you all at once, so I'll be back for FNT. That's okay. And thank you, King James II. We appreciate you. Master Malrubius for $19.99 says, Tim Pool's continual repetition of Civil War has turned me off to his channel. One of the reasons I no longer subscribe, we see retreat from some work media due to the monetary, but we need the government off our back. We do. Yeah, I think Tim, I think he believes it. Like, Tim's not lying to you, like, about that.
Yeah.
I met Tim, and he seemed like a very upfront guy. We were there for a day. He was very cordial. Everybody there was super nice. Lydia's on her shit. She knows what she's doing. Ian was cool. I met Luke. Luke was fucking really cool. I don't know why he's not there anymore. But Tim's like just a very, like, he's a grinder. He's a serious guy, nose to the grindstone. And I think he believes that from his perspective. But look what his perspective was. Like, he was very young, and then he was basically a war correspondent for fucking Vice. And he probably saw a lot of nasty parts of the world. And if that's all you see in your young life, I can see you having that perspective. I could.
Yeah.
I would say travel to some nice places, live a little. I mean, like, he's young. He can't help being young. All right. And I think for somebody that young, he's seen a lot of shit. But if I just thought my life was my addiction years and my prison years, I'd be a nihilist piece of shit and miserable to be around. But like, there's so much, that's what we fight for. There's so much beauty out there, right? Aside from all the garbage we see, there's more beauty all the time. All the time. And that's what we fight for. I'm trying to say this. Okay, so Kevin Hunts for $50 says Chris Gore is a horrid murada for movies. Well, that's good. Yeah, I used to horror for comic book. I don't know what a horror murada is. A horror murada. But I used to horror for comic books. I used to be a big old horror for comic books.
I used to have a habit. I spent almost $50 a week on comics. That was my habit. And that was in the 80s and 90s. It was that. It was like, just go to the comic shop, you go there, you get your comics, and then you sit for 2 hours and talk to everybody, 2-3 hours. It was like a hangout. You know what I mean? Like, Yeah.
Before it was about that much before I bought a shop. I didn't have a ton of money, and $50 a week. That's up. It's $200 a month. Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
after I sold my shop, it was about $100 a week. And then I just had enough. And I found myself like doing stuff I never did before. Like I read most of the comics I would buy. And if I didn't read them, it's because I didn't get around to it. That's it. And I intended to later. But that stack of not being read and not, because I used to read them, like I get home and I get some water and start reading, or drink a coffee and just start reading immediately. And then it became, I'll read them later. I'll read them tomorrow. Then all of a sudden I got this big old stack that I didn't read. And I know that happens to a lot of people, but like that never happened to me until later. And then, Az and I both quit. We're just like, we're done. I can't support that. After they went after Tom King. Oh, dude, I'm tired. I'm blanking on the name now. He went after a creator whose dog had died that day. So that guy, he deals, it's Creator Hellshock, and I'm brain farting right now. This is a name I know all the time, but whatever. And he's driving down to San Diego to bury his dog, to go get his dog and bury his dog. And he's trying, and he wakes up to Tom King trying to cancel him. The guy's I'm like, enough of these fucking assholes. I'm not giving him money anymore. And I also know what, Jay Lee, thank you. God damn it. This is what happens when you get old. Like names you fucking know. Just Jay Lee, great artist, by the way. Hellshock. Yeah, and that was it. That was the straw that broke the camel's back for us. We're like, okay, that's it. Fuck Tom King. And then when you have to go make a pledge that you're not going to rape people, it gets a little ridiculous. Here is a welcome to the radicalized level Spanish sausage. Our Gelogia level will be changing probably after the Orville to fellowship. Then we have the Gandalf level. But thank you. I'm surprised YouTube allowed us to do that. So Video Game Closet, thank you again for the $4.99. And we've got Leo Fisher for $50. And thanks again, Kevin, for the $50. Hollywood entertainment in general calls Americans racist. Must be a has-been made a new project. Hasn't Streisand retired and returned like 5 times? Now a monkeypox on their houses. Thank you, Leo. F name I name for $20 says, I work in a company that has a massive hard-on for trying to employ women any way it can. 2 non-engineers in a team of 12. 50-50 split on military vessel is unrealistic. It's not natural. Yeah, I worked for Tesla, who was trying like hell to get female mechanics, offering to train them. Pay them. Like, we will fly you out. We will put you up. We will train you. We will put you on the line. We will have somebody there for you. They got, a couple. Women don't want to work on cars, but they want to bitch about not getting paid. And I'm talking about the ones that actually bitch. Most women don't.
To get serious for a minute, there is a severe lack of female plumbers and garbage persons.
Yes, yep.
I don't want to say, why are they not? Whereas there is a very few straight male publicists that I've ever encountered. It's usually women and gay men, and also who gives a shit. That's the job they want to do. Cool.
Yep.
I never thought about any of this stuff until people bring this stuff up. And then but if you think about it just for a minute, you realize how fucking stupid it all is.
Yeah. You hear content creators bitching about like how much money they're not making. Like, it's the worst thing. Like, nobody wants to fucking hear that ever. Get a job. You could still do this and work a job. Get a fucking job. I did it for a long time. Mechanic. Again, I'm a Tesla mechanic. They will fucking train you. They will fly you out. And a good one makes $150,000, $200,000 a year if they're really fucking good, depending on where they are. Like, if you're in the Bay Area, you're going to make a lot of money. You can make a lot, especially if you're fucking good. They are dying for people. Or just auto mechanics. It doesn't have to be Tesla. Any auto mechanic. Go work for Toyota. You will be worth your price in gold. There is not enough mechanics out there. They're dying for them. Or if you don't want to turn wrenches, be a parts person like I was. The pay's pretty fucking good. The work isn't as hard as turning wrenches as far as physically. It's demanding on your brain, but that's it. It's no big deal. And once you learn it, it's fucking easy. It's fucking easy. If I could learn it, anybody could learn it. And I was able to, the house I'm in right now is because of parts and my wife's salon. Has nothing to do with YouTube. and saving money. But shit. Okay, I'm trying to make sure. Okay, Leo, we got Leo. We got. Okay, now we really got to go. All right, thanks everyone. This weekend there should be a square up for Nooners. So look for that on Saturday. We're going to do a member stream on Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Maybe I could talk some of our team to show up to one of these. What we're going to do is there for the Jill level and higher, but I'm going to include every member so you can like be in the chat. It'll be public, but it's only for the members. And we usually just shoot the shit. It's pretty fun. I had a good time last time.
Pretty fun.
They're a good time. And I'm going to work on my Thor video. Thanks to everyone who left a super chat and donation. You guys help keep the lights on here. Thanks to the Nerdrotics, who are fantastic. Thankless job. Next live stream, of course, will be Friday Night Tights with Alex Stein.
Oh, I love Alex Stein. That guy's, oh my God. Have you, those videos where he goes in front of like city councils and complains? Oh, he's just, that guy's brilliant. Gary, can I get a quick plug in before we sign off?
Absolutely. Go for it.
So my channel is Film Threat. We cover indie film. If you're wallowing in misery at Marvel and all the other shit that's out there that's just turning to garbage, come to my channel to discover really cool indie films. Tonight, we're doing a live stream. I do a live stream every Wednesday night called Hollywood on the Rocks. And we're talking about, well, we're going to talk about Ms. Marvel with my colleague Alan Ng. We're going to be doing that. We're the first 2 episodes. We're also going to be talking about Crimes of the Future, David Cronenberg's new movie. Probably talk a little Top Gun and Ricky Gervais special. So check out Hollywood on the Rocks, 5 p.m. Pacific time on Film Threat. And then check out my award show, Award This. It's people were saying in the chat when it was, when we premiered, better than the Oscars. So I'll take that. But the bar's pretty low.
That's a pretty low bar.
You'll get little tastes of
the ratings are probably better.
You got to watch it because it's like you'll see like little pieces of these small indie movies and you'll find something that'll interest you. And just thank you again, Gary, for having me on the channel.
That's okay.
I'm
Fred.
I'm in need of a taco. Yeah. And don't go away. There's something I have to tell you off the stream. Unfortunately, I can't publicly say a thing I want to tell you.
God, there's so many guys
that I think you'll find interesting. So
thank you. And again, my promise is I hate like teasing you guys out in the audience. I will tell you everything. I'll tell you everything. I just got to wait. I got to wait. Because like the timing, by the way, it's like a good joke. You got to wait for the timing because it'll just be boom. I want people to shill a little more and talk about how great Miss Marvel is. And how like they love it, and it's the best thing, and I feel seen and represented, and blah, 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 blah. Because it's going to be funny. It's going to be so good. Okay, yes, we're going to have Alex Stein and Cassidy Campbell together on Friday Night Tights. That's both the guys who go and roast city councils. If you haven't seen Cassidy Campbell, Chris, see Cassidy Campbell. He's fucking great. So that is a hell of a show. That is a hell of a show. And that's only $199. Then we have 200. Once I have absolute confirmation for our guest, I will let you know. But I'm waiting on that. It's looking good, but we just don't have the I's dotted, T's crossed and everything. So we're still waiting. Meetup. June 16th, Dallas, at a bar called Gators, 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time. I will be there from the 16th to like the 21st. Like Father Christopher Miller and I are going to go on a little comic book. We're going to go hit some comic book shops before we go to the convention, because why not? We're going to do that one morning, and if people want to like caravan with us, sure, like we can do that. We'll probably do something else afterwards, but the big meetup will be at Gators, 6 p.m. So that's the day before the show. So that way Nobody has to rush away from the show itself. You can enjoy the show. I can enjoy the show. I'm going to be at the con all weekend. I wasn't originally going to do that, but since San Diego is probably not going to be a thing, then Dallas will be the thing. And from the looks, I mean, Orlando looked really packed and good and fun. So can't wait to see Gina too. Gina's awesome. All right. So we're going to wrap it up there. Guys, thank you. We'll be back next Wednesday. I will have an announcement soon on the Monday and Wednesday nooners returning once this gosh dang office is done. And we get Garrett hooked up. Again, get better, Eric. Did I say Eric? See, now I need a sandwich.
Dude, yeah.
Garrett.
I think we both need to eat. I have cold pizza waiting for me.
Eric does need to get better, though. Eric K. He's had some health issues, so I feel better. Yeah, time to eat. So thanks, everyone. Please enjoy some credits. Not all who wander are lost, and may the wings of liberty never lose a... Oh, I got to make sure I have the right one on. Feather. Bye.
Do you want to take a life? Do you want to cross that line?
Nerdrotic.com. Please subscribe. Nerdrotic.com.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
Dame, dame,